So what do you want to do? How do you want to do this? Do you want me to like lay out the philosophy a little bit first, and then we can discuss it, or just want to go
Yeah.
straight into it?
So
I don't.
just to be
Are
double
people?
clear,
Sorry.
from the description, it'd be recorded, it would go on my
Yeah.
channel and everything like
Yeah.
that, right?
All good. All good.
Just because I did have a debate with a dairy farmer once, and we all agreed to it, everything was fine, and then he got annoyed at me at the end, and then he was like, "Oh, I don't want it up now," and I was like, "Well, I spent hours with you for that purpose, right?" So
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
consent. I
okay,
completely consent. We're all
awesome.
good. Go forward with it. I'm not trying to have like a cringy debate where it's like arguing about nonsense. Like I'm pretty happy just to have a pretty chill conversation. Like I'm not
Mhm.
gonna get angry. I'm not gonna insult you. I'm not gonna do anything like that. I'm not gonna get upset. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. And for me, obviously it's going to be quite chill, but I do understand that it is a debate at the same time. I'm not going I don't know if you've seen my debates or anything like that, but I just want to get through to the argument.
yeah, of course.
So yeah, and obviously I do have my biases, everyone does, if they're going to be honest. I do believe in granting animals an intrinsic right? So I want I want the world to be vegan, basically. So I
Yeah,
have that bias, but I try and be as fair as possible. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And just to be clear as well, obviously you're not going to spend a long time looking at all my videos and fully understanding my perspective on this. So you probably have only seen like a couple of my videos. So like from my perspective, veganism is way better of a philosophy than the general meat eater. When I watched
Mhm.
that Jubilee episode, these people are so cringe and they have the worst arguments ever. The guy who was doing the vegan side of the argument, he's actually a really clever philosopher. I don't know if you've seen him before, but he's actually like a really smart guy. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
Actually,
I hadn't seen him up until that point, and I do need to look more into his stuff. All I know is that he's like an effective altruist, possibly.
he does a
Um,
lot of Christianity debates, not debates, sorry, podcasts. That's where I found about him. Where I found out about him was him doing a podcast with Jordan Peterson of all people.
is he Christian or is he atheist, agnostic?
If you watch the whole thing, he laid out his philosophical beliefs, but I don't think he's like a traditional Christian person. But I'm not exactly sure how to categorize his beliefs without going back and watching it. But
Okay.
it sounds something like he's really interested in the spirituality of
Oh, okay.
Christian belief, but he's not Christian in that way. So it's hard to categorize it. But
Okay, that's
he's
fair.
kind of he cares about religion. I don't know if you know Alex O'Connor.
Yeah, I know Alex O'Connor. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
Alex
yeah,
O'Connor.
I haven't seen the whole Jubilee debate. I've seen clips because my plan is to possibly go over it on live stream. So I've
Okay, it's
seen
terrible.
clips that annoyed me. I've responded to those clips, but I'm yet to watch the totality of the arguments.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't get any better. It's all terrible.
I imagine not. It is Jubilee after all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has its purpose.
Well, more so, the vegan guy does a great job of just laying out the typical vegan arguments that you'll hear. He doesn't say anything revolutionary that I think like, wow, really good point. I haven't heard that before. He just says the normal talking points. But the people he's arguing with are so unequipped to deal with the points that it's just
hmm
embarrassing. It's
Yeah.
embarrassing. And it's like that's what you get when you get a actual like a vegan person who is a philosopher. They tend to actually really care about the deep like the deeper arguments you can get. But people who are just like labeled as meat eaters, they just are not equipped to argue with people who actually care about the philosophy of it. They're just
Which
not, and it's embarrassing when you put them together because it's just, I hate watching it. It's all so cringe.
it's quite ironic as well that they don't know how to argue it because, we're born into this world for 18 years. I was consuming products and paying for animals' rights to be violated, but I didn't actually have an argument, a justification for doing it. So it's like actually I'm committing an action that is affecting a sentient being. I should actually have a good justification for it, right? But I didn't.
I actually think it might be the complete opposite intuition. If something has always been, people don't tend to feel like they need justification.
Exactly. That's the problem. But that's why it's very worrisome because it shouldn't be if this is normal, this is how it should be, or anything like that. We should, even if it is normal, we should be able to run through it and see if we can still justify it.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
100%. But that
Yeah.
that's the problem. That's why the medias don't have a good argument, generally speaking, because people don't really think about these things. And then you get awkward arguments, like people legitimately thinking it's a clever thing to say. isn't it really nice to have a cheeseburger though? Like, oh, bro, shut up, man. Like,
It's
it's just
so
so
ironic
cringe.
because I mean, I'm in a calorie deficit right now, so I'm not eating them, but I would eat burgers. I would eat a burger all the time. That's what I do. I will eat burgers, but I'm trying to eat a bit healthier at the moment. So, yeah, it's just
But
like
what I mean is, like, people bring that up,
as
talking
if,
to a vegan as
yeah,
if it's some sort of compelling argument.
I know.
It is just not, and it's just,
No,
yeah, it's cringe.
no,
But yeah, okay, cool. Do you want to get into the little conversation? Because
yeah. So
hopefully I'll have some better arguments than that.
well, let's start with cow paradise because
Yeah,
yeah, so what I'd like is if you just like lay it out.
yeah.
I've got like a little note thing, and yeah, if you want to do that. I don't know if tippy tapping will put you off, so I can mute if you want to like
No,
lay it
go
out.
crazy, go crazy. You can type away.
Okay.
So one of the first things that I would want to establish before is, if we have completely different axioms about what we believe, it might be very difficult to have a conversation. So like the first one is like, here's what I thought. How do I describe this? I think that it's better to be born into the world as long as your life isn't completely comprised of suffering, pain, and you enjoy your life. Like, that as an axiom for me, that's just like what a life worth living is defined as. As
Mm-hmm.
long as you've enjoyed your life, as long as you're not going through pain and suffering. If you're an antinatalist, you might disagree completely and say that the fact you have any suffering is disqualifying to the fact that you should be happy with the life you were born into, and you should always take it as a moral wrong to give birth to people into this world, or humans, or animals, or whatever. So if you're an antinatalist, it might be difficult to have this argument because you'll just say my axiom is against yours. I don't know how to convince anyone of that. We
Yeah.
can talk
So
about it still. We can talk about it
yeah,
still, but like it would be hard to have the conversation about Cow's Paradise specifically.
yeah. So I'm not an antinatalist,
Mm.
and yeah. So I think we can talk about this though because I do have a view opposed to this this cow paradise definitely,
Mm. Mm.
but I'm not an
Trust me,
antinatalist.
trust me, we'll get there. I just want to like make sure
Hmm.
that we can like set the table for where we're going to be arguing, because if we get halfway through the argument and then you're basically saying to me there is nothing that justifies giving birth to anything because I'm an antinatalist, then I'd be like, yo, why have you had this whole conversation?
Yeah, I understand, but at the same time, veganism is an applied ethic, so we don't really need to. I suppose that's kind of delving into the meta ethic almost. Um, but I do understand why you want to like make sure that I actually have that viewpoint. But yeah, the veganism is the applied ethic of not breeding these individuals into existence with the purpose of using them against their own interests, right? Or best interests, rather.
Yeah, so the Cow's Paradise idea kind of hinges upon the fact that if you were born into a world where your whole existence is good, then it's good to be born despite other factors. So as
Hmm.
long as we can agree that being born into a world where you have no pain or suffering, the life is one that you or that the animal enjoyed living, then there is a world where that's seen upon by us, the people who
Hmm.
are trying to discover whether this is a right thing to do, can be seen upon as justified.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
So I
makes
don't know if
sense.
I. Okay, cool. So when I lay out Cow's Paradise, the first thing that I need to lay out is that if veganism was to be implemented into the world, it would be very likely that the vast majority of cows would just dwindle in population. Obviously, we wouldn't be
Hmm.
breeding them anymore, so like just by definition, veganism would result in like not extinction of cows, but close to it. We have a very, very small cow population in comparison to what we have now.
Hmm.
And that's when Cow's Paradise comes into play. The first thing that I laid out was essentially asking you, like, if you were to be given the option, what would you prefer? To have never been born, like in the vegan world, for example, if we're relating it to cows, or to live in a human paradise where you live for only 25% of your natural lifespan. Let's say you live to about 25 ish, but you live in a paradise and it's completely free of suffering. And if we had the technology in the hypothetical world to make it a painless death, which I think is not completely impossible to think that we could potentially have technology to make like death painless, right? So, given those hypothetical circumstances, I think that it would be more moral than a vegan world to still bring cows into the world and allow them to have their happy cow life in cow paradise, assuming there's no pain, no suffering, and a painless death. Then I
Hmm.
wouldn't see, like, from my perspective, I don't see where the moral wrong is. And I know that you'll probably bring up the human thing. I watched some of your podcasts. So, like, would a human paradise be morally right to do, right? And from my perspective, I still just see it from my own, like, from my own perspective. I would just still see it as like, okay, would I rather never be born
Hmm.
or be born into a human paradise where after 25 years the alien overlords, they painlessly kill me and they eat me. Like, I
Hmm.
would still much rather be born into the alien overlords world where I get to be born, live in a paradise, and have my nice life. And as long as I don't know it's coming, and I just don't, no pain, no suffering, perfect, blissful life. That would be, from my philosophical stance, not wrong. Where is the moral wrong?
Yeah. So what you're explaining when you put it in Human Paradise is actually there's two dystopian films that follow this plot. Do you know Logan's Run or The Island?
Is the island the Leonardo DiCaprio one?
No, Ewan McGregor.
No, I don't think I've seen any of
Yeah,
these.
I was running Cow Paradise with my partner, and she was like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
reminds me of this
Is it
film
called
called
so?
The Island,"
Yeah.
and and she was telling me about it. I haven't watched it, but I would like to watch it actually because Cow Paradise is brought up as a concept quite a bit. So I would
Mm,
really like to see it run in a film. But essentially,
interesting. I'll watch this. That's
spoiler
very interesting. Thank you.
spoiler alert. I won't
Okay.
go through too much of it, but essentially these people are told that the outside world, they can't actually go to it because it's contaminated, but they're being used, so they're like essentially cloned, but they're still like humans. And they are bred with the purpose of being organ harvested or being used for
Mm,
some reason. And I think the premise is that they maybe get painfully killed and they don't know. They go away to
painlessly.
win the lottery. Yeah, yeah,
Painlessly killed.
painlessly
Okay, okay,
killed.
okay. That's because you said
Um,
painfully killed. I was like, Jesus.
yeah, painlessly killed, hypothetically.
Mm.
So in your view, if you look up The Island, I could even give you a moment to
Yeah,
kind of look at
I'm
the
looking at.
plot if you
I'm
want
looking at.
to. Yeah, they're
I'll take
usually
your word for it.
used. Yeah, I need to watch it. But I did look up the plot, and this literally sounds precisely like the
Mm.
paradise you're laying out. They have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
They're
it does.
going to be used for a purpose by
Yeah,
these rich humans.
yeah, yeah.
Um, would you then bite the bullet and say, well, that's a justified world, that
Yeah,
actually it's not like a dystopian, it's actually
yeah.
more moral? Because for you said this is more moral than veganism, right? The cow paradise. So I guess this would be more moral than like human rights or something.
I don't know if we can map it onto the humans as being more moral than, because I don't know what we'd be comparing it to exactly. The
Well,
more
we'd
moral
be
claim is, let's just leave that for the cows. I don't know. I've never even thought about the more moral of anything for the human part, so I'm not sure how to
Well,
map that one.
let's try and do that in real time because this is very important because so if this is the cow paradise is using these animals, they have no idea. Obviously, hypothetically, if we could find a way to painlessly kill them,
Mm,
this obviously is this hypothetical, which I understand. But you say that would be more moral than veganism. And
yeah,
veganism is just acting in a way that accepts and considers the rights of non-human animals. So it would just be like being a human rights advocate, basically, or a human rights, someone who engages in the world as a human rights advocate. So if you were to analogize it and we were to trait adjust everything,
yeah. Go
it
on.
would.
If you can get me a comparable human situation,
Mhm.
then I could maybe conceptualize it like that. I just can't think of how we're going to compare it to humans in this world because there's no vegan world that we can have. Do you know what I mean? Like with the vegan world with Cow's Paradise comparison,
Mhm.
we can have cows that go extinct, but then we could have Cow's Paradise so they all get to be born still in a happy life. But I can't conceptualize a human comparison for the island experiment.
Okay, let's make everything in the island the same, okay? But the population, for some reason, if they don't do this, humans, There's not as many of them. As you said, cows wouldn't necessarily go extinct. There'd just be less of them, right? So you wouldn't
Okay,
have
so
these.
okay, just to be clear. So right now we have humans.
Mhm.
Okay, well, actually, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. So
Yeah.
right now, let's just say we had some insane human farms, and it
Hmm.
was actually like this crazy place where it's just like we treat these humans like shit, and we just like lock them up and like it's horrible, just like a slaughterhouse, right?
Hmm.
And then I propose to you, how about instead of doing that, we could put them on an island. They can be in their little human paradise. They can be as happy as possible. We'll still treat these humans as our organ donors or whatever, but they'll never know. They'll be happy. I would say that is more moral than the current system.
No, you shifted,
Uh,
right? It's
sorry, I
it's
actually
not.
did.
Yeah, it's
You're right.
not
You're right.
versus the current system. It's versus me being a human
You're
rights
right. You're right. You're right.
advocate.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. Because it would be you would say let the humans go extinct. Let
No,
those hum-
I
you would say
wouldn't
let the
necessarily.
humans in the slaughterhouses go extinct.
Yeah.
And I would say, no, 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 we can put them on an island and they can live out their happy lives for 25 years or whatever. And then we can take their organs secretly with a painless death. That would be the
But
comparison.
or you wouldn't just be saying that. You'd also be saying, and then we can keep breeding more because we'd be justified in
Yeah.
doing that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
versus.
yeah. Yes, yes.
So
Yes.
your view. So just to be clear, would you say yes? It would be more moral to move over the human farming, like
Yeah, yeah,
how we
100%. 100%,
move it
yes.
over to this island
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
keep breeding these
yeah,
humans to
yeah.
organ harvest.
You don't need to say it. Yep. I don't even feel like it's biting a bullet because
I
from my perspective, there's no bullet to be bitten here.
that
From my perspective, if I was to be born, like I
Mhm.
get the choice. Either I go extinct, like I never get born, or I get to go and live in a little paradise for 25% of my natural lifespan, and then I get no pain, no suffering, beautiful life, and then I just get click dead, painless suffering, painless death, and
Mhm.
I stop existing. I just can't see how anyone would rather just not exist. Obviously, we
I
can't actually
I
conceptualize
would
that.
absolutely rather not. If I had, 'cause it's
Really,
hard to say. Oh well, if I didn't have knowledge, because I'm trying
of
to
course,
sign off on something that I have knowledge on.
yeah,
But no, I wouldn't. So the problem is, right? We have two people here, you and I. I'm saying I would not. You are saying yeah, I would prefer that. So how do we
yeah.
figure out which one's going to be preferable? I would say we find out it's going to be preferable because nobody wants to be killed and harvested for their organs. Even if
Hmm.
they don't know it's going to happen, nobody wants that, right?
I would counter that by saying everyone on the island who is living a beautiful life will want to exist.
They may want to, but they don't want to be like
I know,
murdered, right?
I
And
know, but that,
used.
of course, but they don't know. They're never going to know, and it just means that they want both of the things that we're offering, and they
Just
can't have
to
both.
just to be clear, right? So say for
Yeah,
example, I can get pregnant, right? Say
yeah,
I live on an island and I give birth to a human and I
yeah,
give them the most magical, beautiful life.
yeah,
But at 20 years of age, I want to kill them so I can drink their blood.
yeah.
Have I done anything wrong, really, morally, because I've bred them into existence and given them a good life?
So the reason why I think that analogy doesn't map onto the idea that I'm trying to get at is because it needs to start with the fact that otherwise the thing wouldn't have been born.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been born. If I'm like, oh, I want to drink someone's blood, what I'll
Yeah,
do is
mm,
I'll bring them into existence via my own womb.
yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
would I be justified in doing that on the basis that I've brought them into existence?
So with the cow paradise thought experiment, part of the thing that makes me feel like let's just one clarification first. I don't think that morals are like this objective thing that you can go and
Me
actually
neither.
like. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we don't believe objectives are real. I don't know what your like
I'm a
object.
subjectivist, so I believe morality is subjective. It's based on my preference and your preference, and
Okay,
we just
sick,
kind of
cool.
like win out on which one is preferable to as many people as possible, basically.
I would go even a bit like nearly with you, but I don't know if you heard Alex O'Connor him talk about his moral stance. He's
Yes.
basically an emotivist.
Hmm.
Basically, moral stances are just my emotions towards something. I feel like this is bad, therefore I'm just telling you boo murder or whatever. It's
Yeah,
just
I don't know if I fully sign off on that, but I do understand the premise.
okay, cool. And then just to close that loop, also I think that morals aren't just like completely subjective, and you can't just like believe whatever you want to believe about morality because we have an evolved what would you call it? Like a rule set of social interaction evolved into us as a species. Therefore, we tend to not like murder because, you know, it would have been biologically disadvantageous for us to murder each other. And then as social communities, we, you know, would enforce, you know, how do I describe this properly? We have evolved a certain kind of biology which has dictated a certain kind of morality.
Well, yeah, I understand. Like, I think we have a kind of primitive way of thinking where, for example, someone looks a bit different to us. They don't, you know, quite look how we expect someone to look. So we don't like them. I would say that's the primitive layer. And then we have the bits above that.
Yeah, exactly,
Because,
exactly. So
yeah,
we have
yeah.
our the way I try and conceptualize it is we have like a chessboard. There are many moves we can make on a chessboard, but we have to abide by the rules of the chess game. And morality is kind of like that. We have our biology, which kind of dictates the kind of moralities that we're going to have. The reason that you care that something looks like it's going through pain or suffering or whatever is because you can experience pain or suffering in a bad way, and therefore you don't like that. So you can apply your moral code onto other things.
Um, Not necessarily. Say, even if I couldn't experience pain, I could still have like a moral, you know what I mean? I could still have a moral system. If I was
Really?
sentient, like subjective, like say there was a way to, if I were a subject, but then you could alleviate me of pain and suffering or any bad feeling, I still think you could exercise compassion, because yeah, you're talking about empathy, but there are very unempathetic people who can understand why something would be wrong, like why pain would be bad.
I'm not sure if I agree with that. Obviously, we're
Do,
getting to the
do you
weeds.
think a sociopath, like someone who has sociopathy, they're known for not having the ability to experience empathy? Do you think that they can understand, though, still why pain would be bad, even if they can't experience it?
It's experience the pain or the empathy.
Both.
Because they obviously experience pain. They just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Someone who's a psychopath just doesn't feel the feeling of empathy.
Yes.
So, sorry, what's the question?
So basically, do you see that they can understand? Because when you empathize, you're putting yourself in someone's shoes. You're like, if someone punched me, that would hurt me. So I shouldn't do that to them. That's empathy. But if you can't do that, some people cannot do that. They have
I
to.
think we're getting way too into the weeds here. The only point I was trying to make was basically that I forgot what we were even talking about
You were
now.
saying there's like an evolutionary reason why we may have the views we have.
Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
fundamentally, the reason humans have our particular moral code is informed by our biology. And if our biology was completely different, for example, if we had evolved from a super intelligent race of flies, then poop would be a very desirable thing for humans. But since we didn't, poop is disgusting to us, and it would be very immoral to like rub poop in someone's face. But if we were a fly species, then that would be like a really nice thing. So like our morals are informed by our biology, and the things that we find good or bad are simply informed by our biological evolution.
I don't necessarily sign off on that, because it may be the case that someone really has a poop fetish and it would be really good to put it in their face. So it's kind of based on the titanium.
Touche,
It's not the golden rule. It would be the titanium
touche,
rule, right?
touche. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you want to get...
Scabbity bap bap.
Right,
Yeah.
let's get back onto the topic
Yeah.
again
Let's go on
where
to
we left off.
the we were talking about the human. I have a baby.
Yeah,
And
cool.
but the only way I'm going to breed them into existence is if I can drink their blood when they turn 20. So is it a preferable, have I done something more moral by breeding them into existence and killing them at 20 and giving them a really good life versus just not having a baby?
Again, I just feel like as long as the thing being born into the world experiences no pain, no suffering, a life worth living, by the definition I gave at the start, then I just cannot see where the moral wrong is. Like, I get that vegans want to feel like we are violating the rights of the thing that is being born. I don't
The
think rights are.
human, so yeah, the human in this instance. Okay, so we're talking about, I'm gonna have a baby. Just
Yeah,
imagine she grows to be a woman at 20,
yeah.
and yeah, she has a really good life. a really amazing life. I've given her the best life possible, and I make
Yep.
sure that the pain is like non-existent. I've got this
Yep. Yep.
technology that can. You would
Yep.
say I've done a good there.
Like, can you point out how it's not? Like, where is the wrong?
I've bred her into existence with the
Yeah.
purpose of using her against her best interests, and I have taken her life away from her. I've violated her right to live.
I mean, I'm not hearing a wrong here. Like, I feel like you're saying it's like a, what do you call it? I hear people in debates say this all the time. It's a tautology. You're saying it's wrong because it's wrong. Like, it's wrong because it's bad.
No, I'm saying it's wrong because I believe it's wrong to breed individuals into the existence with the purpose of using them against their best interests. I don't
But
know how that's a tautology.
because I'm not hearing why it would be wrong to do it. Like,
No, I think I'm telling you why it's wrong, but you don't have that kind of thing in your mind that's like, this is a wrong thing.
no,
I think it's
I
wrong.
understand.
I think
I understand why you're saying it. I don't hear the reasoning for why it's wrong. Because from my perspective, what you're saying is it's wrong because we're doing something that's against their best interests. So
yep.
it sounds like you're saying it's wrong because it's bad for them.
Yes.
But why is it bad for them?
Because it's like, so yeah, we're going to keep going circling around at this point because we're at the kind of heavier levels, but it's against their best interest because I have a what's the word, a plan. I'm premeditating the day I'm going to like kill them and
Yeah.
use them because yeah, a scenario like the island, I would take
Yeah.
it. And I don't think it is very bizarre when I come across people with this kind of philosophy because it is understood that that is a dystopian kind of scenario for an individual, for
Yeah.
someone
Like,
to have, a plan to take
yeah.
their life and use their body as a commodity. I
Mm.
think it's wrong to commodify sentient beings.
I know, but
Yeah.
again, all I'm hearing is it's wrong because I feel like it's wrong. But from my perspective, all that's
No.
happening. Let me land it. From my perspective, what I am seeing is you're bringing a creature into the world who would otherwise never get to have a beautiful life, and as we discussed, they will have a really nice life
But
and no pain, no
but short
suffering.
it
From my
completely.
perspective, all I'm
Yeah.
seeing is you just brought life into the world to have a good time, and there's no pain, no suffering. Where's the wrong?
Because of the bits that you just missed out. You premeditated when you were going to end their life. I think even if you, so just to be clear, if
Hmm.
someone kills someone but they euthanize them, they use like a euthanasia drug,
Yeah.
they just, but you do you actually think they've done something wrong if that person lived a good life?
No. The mapping onto my thought experiment
Yeah, so we're
needs
coming
to.
away. We're coming away from the thought experiment just for a minute because I'm trying to work out why you think painless death would be acceptable. So I'm just trying to like go bit by bit.
Just so there's no pain and suffering associated with the being brought into the world. That's the only. It's not because painless death is like somehow moral. It's just because pain and suffering after being brought into a world seems like that would weigh heavy on whether you should be born or not.
Not necessarily. Wait, do you think it is bad though? Do you mind answering my question? Do you mind
Yeah.
if someone murders someone but they did it with a euthanasia drug? Do you think they've
I
done
said
something wrong?
I did answer. Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. So why? Oh, sorry. Why would you find that wrong?
Well, like because that's just murdering someone. Like I don't know. Like how deep do we need to get into the fact that
Yeah, but no, yeah, I know it's murder, like an unlawful, like wanton killing, right? But why do you believe it's going to be bad or wrong?
I mean, how deep do you want to get with it? Because like obviously,
As deep as I went, obviously it's going to feel a bit circular, but I want to see, like, for me, I answered right. If you took someone's life away from them, even if painlessly, you've taken away their intrinsic right to exist. So
I mean,
that's what I'm. But for you, I'm trying to work out what that might be.
yeah, I don't know if I don't know if people have intrinsic rights to exist or rights even exist at all. I don't think they're like a thing in the universe. I think rights are just concepts that we just apply to human culture.
That's
And
fine. What's the answer for you then?
is murder bad? Yeah, like like murder feels bad for me because I've evolved to be you know, a human being who lives in a society, and when people kill people, it triggers negative emotions in me. And yeah.
Okay, so
Bad.
that's why you would find that bad. So would it not trigger then a bad feeling in you if you knew that you were advocating for a human farm, even if they didn't know? That you would know, okay, I have the knowledge that one day they're going to be harvested for their organs. They've been brought into existence to be organ harvested. Does that not trigger some sort of emotion within you?
Yeah, no. So that's the difference in our axioms here. When I hear this thought experiment, I can't help but think there's only positives associated with this, even if there's like a gruesome feeling outcome at the end. There is still just positive humans, positive, sorry, there's only positive lives via humans and cows being brought into the world, and they're happy, painless death. I don't see where the bad is. Like, if
But you
I
said
was
it,
given the choice, I would just be like, yeah, cool. I would
but
obviously choose that than never be born.
But then where are the icky, because you're talking about icky feelings and translating them to what you would think is wrong. You would have an icky feeling, correct, if you knew that this was happening to the humans who are being organ harvested, though?
No, 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 no. If my cow paradise thought experiment or human paradise thought experiment was real, I would see it for what it is. Humans who otherwise wouldn't be born being brought into a beautiful world where they have no pain, no suffering. Maybe I'll watch that
The
Island
island.
movie and it would change
You're
my mind. But
you're gonna be the antagonist. You know that, right?
for real, I'll be a
Yeah,
bad
you
guy.
will be the person who's like, yes, give me give me the organs. I am doing a good thing.
But you know what though? The other side, I haven't seen this film, right? But let's just say you were simultaneously saving the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Would that not at least like weigh your scales a little bit? Like,
You're gonna have to scale it up so high before my threshold is met, because
I mean,
yeah.
for me,
I'm not some sort of utilitarian or anything like that, no.
yeah, for me, even without harvesting the organs, simply being brought into a world where you are happy and have a beautiful life for 25 years, even if you just got killed and get thrown into a grave, then it would still, I don't see where the wrong would be. I would much prefer that than never be born. Sounds like a
Okay.
good deal to me.
Well, that's fair. I mean, you can watch that and let me know if you are on the side of the antagonist or the protagonist there. But what I'd like
Yeah.
to do is obviously hypotheticals are really good, but we want to like track them onto the real world and make them analogous, right? So
Maybe,
obvious,
because my thought experiment obviously is a thought experiment, so I'm not
yeah,
trying to argue whether it's like implicate, like
yeah.
able to be implicated into the real
Yeah,
world.
obviously your thought experiment is like a film like The Island, basically. And for
Exactly,
me,
exactly,
I would
exactly.
say that's just like bad. I would say it's really bad. But yeah, obviously we have different views on that one. But obviously you're not vegan, are you?
No.
So there's currently something, unless you are, correct me if I'm wrong, acting in a way you think to be unjustified, there is something that you believe justifies sending the animals to the slaughterhouse after farming them and such, correct?
Depends what you mean. Like, are you saying that the fact that I eat meat that isn't from cow's paradise, am I doing something immoral?
Well, I'm assuming you believe it, when you consume the flesh, the secretions, or you buy like a brand new leather jacket or something like that, that used animals, right?
Hmm.
I'm assuming you think what you're doing is morally acceptable, right? Otherwise, I think you wouldn't do it.
I'm quite undecided. I hear a lot of different complex arguments for. I don't know. It's hard to say because it's not like I feel exactly happy about the fact that some of the animals I eat are in really bad conditions and some maybe in better from like better farms. And yeah, I'm not exactly happy with any of it. But that's what the thought experiment was for. Like it was to try and rationalize a world where it could be possible to have moral meat.
Yeah, I get that, but obviously we're okay to move on from the thought experiment, right? Because I feel like we were at an impasse with that one because of the film and everything. Like, but I mean currently. So is it the case that you're unsure whether or not what you're doing is justified when you pay for animals to be sent to a slaughterhouse or pay for their skin or something of that nature?
Yeah, I'm looking for ways for it to not trigger me to feel like it's wrong. So yeah, I guess the fact that I'm even looking for a thought experiment like Cow's Paradise would imply that I'm not exactly happy with the current state of eating meat. So
See, I would have thought the inverse because obviously a few of your videos I've seen, they seem quite critical of vegans, or I would say even sometimes misrepresent vegans.
Well,
Like when
was
you
that-
said, obviously I can't recall verbatim, you may remember what you've said more than I did, but you were kind of talking about like how vegans say killing animals is objectively wrong, when a lot of the time vegans are going to be subjectivists. They're not really going to evoke objective, like there are some objectivist vegans. But
I
yeah,
think I said that. I
yeah,
think that I was saying
you have
I
one
remember. I remember that.
titled you have
Yeah, it
one
was.
titled vegans say killing animals is objectively wrong. That's like the
No,
opening
no, no, no.
statement.
I think that you're misremembering it. What I actually said was, this is a thought experiment for vegans, but only if you do not believe objective morality is real.
No, it's on a different one. I'll find it. I don't want to feel crazy, sorry.
I
I
think
want
it's
to find the one you said.
maybe one where I'm standing in like golden hour. That one, I can't remember what I say about
Yeah,
that one.
there was a gold. I remember a golden hour hue. Is killing animals objectively wrong? Is the question, and you're about to say vegans argue as if killing animals is objectively wrong.
But most
That's what I'm referencing.
I don't remember what I said. Can I
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Hang on.
go on?
Sorry, I didn't want to. I try very hard to make sure I'm representing people's views.
I don't feel I don't feel misrepresented
That's
at all.
good. Yeah.
Where are we sending this?
I've sent it on Instagram. Sorry, I don't know if you can like open it while you're there though. While you're here though, can you?
Yeah. Where are you? Let's see you. Where'd you send it?
Instagram.
Oh, wait, sorry, I'm on the wrong account. One second.
Oh no, you've got alts, have you?
No, I've got my main account. I've got like a food page, and then I wanted to not clutter my food page with all my ramblings. So
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
I started a new account. I don't know how to log out though.
Oh, that's fine. I can send it here.
Oh, I got it.
You got it. Cool. I'm only quoting the first 3 seconds of the video because I actually I couldn't reproduce
Oh, God,
the contents.
No, it's gonna take too long. Just want to tell me what the argument was. I'll tell you if I.
Yeah, no, my point was basically what I was trying to say was I wouldn't know if you're on this kind of like journey of trying to understand veganism, because the way you speak about it, it seems like you actually have a problem with vegans and veganism. That was my entire point, basically.
No, I actually don't. Like a lot of what I'm doing right now is just trying to find a voice to discuss things online. Because the reason I started this account was primarily just to practice speaking, and I used to be pretty Facebook warrior-y, Facebook warrior-y.
Yeah.
Back in my old days, and a bit of that just kind of came out. I'm just being a bit. Yeah, I'm just testing out different ways of
being
talking.
Facetious, as it were.
I'm not being facetious exactly.
Is that the word? No. Okay.
I'm not being facetious exactly. I'm being a bit trolly. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
really...
I would take trolly and facetious to be the same thing.
No, because I believe it. I'm just saying it in a way that
you believe it.
Trolly. Okay. Yeah. I'm not lying. I'm just saying things in a triggering way.
I might be using the wrong. I might be using it wrongly. I just think it. I say it when I'm being a troll. I say I'm being facetious. So that might be me saying it wrongly. But yeah, okay. So if you obviously have this current view that you're unsure whether or not something is morally acceptable, I always say to people, if you're not sure, then you should be taking the precautionary principle. If we're dealing with sentient beings, and you really can't produce a justification that is analogous or applicable to the real world, then you should adopt the applied ethic that avoids that.
Yeah, I think it's a good argument for some people, but I don't know how much you know about people on the carnivore diet.
Oh, I know a bit, a little bit. Yeah.
Like they don't tend to do it for funsies because they just want to eat more cows or whatever. Usually they do it because they're going through some health issues, autoimmune issues, blah blah. And
yeah, but unfortunately, when you talk to these people, They a lot of them diet hop. I know a lot of them who used to be within the vegan community who are now carnivores, and I see them eating raw cow bollocks. Like it's like you've gone from one thing to the other, and people do regard veganism as a diet. It's not. It's just like you can have permutations of plant-based diets, and some of them are quite extreme. You know, like high fruit or fruit only diets, only raw diets. And it's quite interesting how those people then end up being carnivores. And then they talk, oh, my health. Oh, suddenly, you know, one guy said, oh, I ate salmon and then I spaffed in my pants. Like I had a wet dream. It was just like, oh my God, dude, like this is not kind of how it works. And then
But
when you ask them,
just as devil's advocate quickly, is
mm-hmm,
it not a bit concerning to you that some people on the vegan diet
mm-hmm.
seem to actually have good health outcomes when going onto a carnivore diet?
Well, they
And
haven't there's actually no, like they can report I feel better,
yeah,
but
it's just anecdotes, but
yeah, the thing is I take an anecdote of I feel better when I eat the flesh of animals as seriously as I take, oh, I feel better when I sniff crack off a toilet seat. It doesn't matter if you feel better, it's the health outcome data I'm interested in, because obviously, as you know, health is something that degrades over time. You're not going to see, you know, they say, oh, you know, 2 weeks later I feel thriving, or even a year. It's like if you smoke, you may feel great, you may feel better smoking, but you're not going to see the effects of smoking for a long period of time. And it's the same in diets. There's a lag time.
yeah,
When
they do
you are
love that word thriving, right? The carnivore
They
community,
do, and
they
it's
love that
just
word.
interesting how then a year later it's why I quit the carnivore diet. Oh, I just wasn't thriving, and it's like it's a contradiction. That's
Yeah, it's
why
true.
it is concerning to me that people have these health problems that they report, but not because I then think, oh, there's something unhealthy about this, because I can just look at health outcome data to tell me that. It's because of like how annoying it is that people rely on anecdotes and just completely ignore the hierarchy of scientific evidence completely. I don't know why they do that.
When you say health outcome data, what are you
Mhm.
referring to? I'm
So
not
you
really
could
into this kind of stuff.
so you could talk. So when you're looking at health outcome data, like you're talking. So you familiar with the hierarchy of scientific evidence?
Um, Probably a little bit. Like,
It looks like a triangle, and you'll have at the bottom something like case studies,
so
and stuff.
anecdotes, case studies,
Yeah, anecdotes isn't even on it.
meta-analysis,
Like case studies are a kind of
a kind of anecdote.
fancy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
have that, and
yeah.
then yeah, as you go up,
Meta-analysis,
you go up
double-blind
to
studies.
yeah, like cohorts, and then
Yeah,
at the top you have like randomized controlled trials and stuff like that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when
for
you're
sure.
looking at health outcome data, you may find like the randomized controlled trials and everything like that that are going through all of the literature. That is what I have more credence in, unless that sort of data doesn't exist. Then I'll look for lower tier evidence, basically.
So when you're referring to health outcomes, though, what are you? What is it?
Of what specifically? Sorry, like a plant based diet, or
I don't know. When you say that, what are you talking about?
well, when I was talking about it just a second ago, I was talking about like their diets specifically. Like I don't know of a randomized control trial going through the carnivore diets and showing positive health outcomes or anything like that. I think literally the carnivore diet so far only has a case study. And I think in that case study, their cholesterol levels raised, if I can remember rightly. And the sample size was a bit strange. But again, even if not for those things, it is a case study still. Like, so, but when I'm talking about like plant-based diets, as far as I'm aware, it's going to be like they label it like appropriately planned. So obviously making sure with your food it's fortified or you have supplements, as well as that it's going to be a vary of like whole foods mixed with processed foods is my understanding.
So my understanding was when I hear the words plant-based,
Hmm.
that doesn't mean vegan, right? That just means a diet which is based on plants. So when I hear in like the medical literature them talking about plant-based diets, I don't take that as no meat
Oh yeah,
because
sorry, when I say plant-based I do, but I understand that people can have different definitions of plant-based, but when I'm talking about so the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics stance is talking about specifically vegan and vegetarian diets. So it's going to be vegan permutations and then vegetarian permutations.
Yeah. So I'm not really the kind of guy who's going to get into a debate about stuff. I don't really look at studies about stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not the guy to have this kind of debate. So I don't know. Is
Yeah,
there anything else you want to discuss about? I'll be
yeah.
happy to then.
I'm just trying to work out what's making you unsure, because obviously if you're
I can tell you. I
unsure,
can tell you. Yeah, no, no, I got it.
yeah.
Like, the more plants I eat,
Mm-hmm.
the worse I feel. So I used to want to be vegan, and I would start to eat way more plants, do a
Mm-hmm.
lot more like quinoa, and like if you go on my Instagram, not the Instagram you'll see here, but my old post is just like hyping up how cool veganism is, because my cousins are vegan and I was just convinced it's just like the healthiest diet or whatever, cool. And I was getting closer to I never went vegan fully, but the more plants I ate, the worse I felt. And then I was just like, I'm just tired of just feeling bad all the time. And then I saw someone doing a ketogenic diet and I was like, let me try that. Felt pretty good. And then, I was just experimenting with diets, and it just seemed like the more plants I was eating, the worse I would feel. I'd get big, bloaty, gassy tummy and just feel like terrible. So I'm just following what my body feels good on, and it just seems like the more plants I'm eating, the worse I tend to feel. I've like I don't want to be on this diet specifically. It's just like I'm kind of forced into it. Otherwise, I feel like shit.
Well, I understand that, and it sounds like you would do better with low FODMAP. I think that's what you're saying.
What's
But
that? FOD.
FODMAP, low FODMAP.
What does that mean?
I think it's like it's lower fiber and stuff like that, which is something that's plausible in plant-based permutations. But you did say that you weren't even vegan. So I understand, you add more plants. And this is why health outcome data is so important, because you can't control for everything else, every other variable that happened around that period of time. There's
Yeah, yeah.
there's no data
Could be.
that's going to say,
Yeah,
look,
fair
you
enough.
eat more plants, you're going to feel worse in the health outcome data, right?
I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna look at some data and be like, okay, I'll just continue doing the thing that the data tells me to, even though I feel bad. You can't really expect people to do that. That'd be just insane to do.
Well, I
And like
mean,
now, like I've isolated some foods I just know fuck me up. Like they give me bad gas, super bloating, and I
mhm,
just feel like my body is like I feel like I'm poisoned. Like if I eat garlic or Brussels sprouts or peppers, my
mhm.
gut just swells. And it's just I'm
Yeah.
so bloated and I just fart in like the grossest way possible. And it's just you cannot tell me that those foods are good for me. I'm not doing it. I feel awful eating them.
Well,
And
look, I think I'm a gluten intolerant person in denial, because every time I have pasta, like not every time actually, it probably happens like 1 in 10 times I'll get horrible cramps. But nothing's telling me that in veganism, if I want to be vegan and consider animals in my purchases and my actions, that I have to eat that pasta, right? You can
yeah.
avoid the peppers, I avoid Brussels
Of course,
sprouts, like
of course.
no thank you. um, you
You know
know,
what ends up being? The things that I've kind of settled on as like the safe foods for me are kind of just like some fruit. And like that's not a diet. Like I would need to be eating the right amino acid profile grains, as in like beans and soy or whatever,
mhm.
and they're not good for me either. So it's just like it's very difficult to navigate the kind of foods that I can eat without
Have
feeling
you had
bad.
an allergy test?
No.
You should have it. Why haven't you done that?
How would that solve anything? Like,
No, because you should. Because if you are allergic or intolerant, there will be
yeah.
markers that show that it is. Yes, you'll feel horrible, but it will better. Like, do you not, when you have a problem, like want to kind of like troubleshoot
Yeah,
and
of
find
course.
out? Yeah, you
But I
should
mean, I
have an
just don't
allergy
eat it.
test.
But how would that fix it though? Because if let's
I'm
say
not.
I
I'm not
discover
saying
that
to
I'm
fix
allergic.
it. I'm saying to like understand if you are.
Oh, oh, I don't need I don't need a test. I am like I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like it feels awful. So
Well, that's the
I
thing
don't.
though. But like for me, right? I haven't like had an allergy test myself, right, for gluten specifically. There's not enough things that are firing up for me to be like, oh, that's a problem. But like when I have the weird cramps, it could have been my cycle. It could have been a different ingredient that I've put in, but I haven't isolated for that properly.
Yeah, fair enough. And it's really hard to isolate things like this, obviously,
Yeah.
because I mean that's what people trying to figure out their health issues via diet are trying to do. They're trying to isolate certain foods, and that's been the last 5 years of my life trying to figure out what foods are triggering me because it's just annoying to not feel good as a 30-year-old. Like it's just for the last like since I remember, I've just felt tired, fatigued, awful. And only up until recently have I kind of figured out that it's probably just foods. All my life I felt like this, and it's just I feel like the culprit has just been eating so many different foods that trigger me in small ways, and then just like thinking that's normal when it wasn't. I'm being triggered by foods, obviously, from my perspective. Maybe it is confounded in various different ways. I don't know, but that's just what I've been doing. You know what I mean? Like this is me trying to figure out what is wrong with me for the last my whole life, really.
Yeah, I understand. Like, but it's hard because obviously, say if I suddenly developed an allergy, because that can happen, right?
Mm.
I would be looking for like everything before I would pay for an animal to be like literally murdered. You know what I mean? So it's just like, because obviously it's horrible to go through these issues where things hurt, we're tired, we're fatigued.
Mm.
I've gone through bouts of fatigue myself. But, it's not nearly as terrible as like everything animals have to go through. Like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of, it's a bit confusing to me how it's not, the last resort.
I get it. Like as a vegan, that makes complete sense that you would feel that way.
Not
But
even
for
as
me,
a not even as a vegan necessarily. Like I if say it was dog kicking, right? And I before I was even vegan because I didn't I wasn't like socialized into that, right? But
mm,
if someone was like, look, if I kick this dog every day,
yeah,
I'm gonna feel better. And
yeah.
I'd be like, well, how do you know? Well, it's like, well, I just feel better when I kick the dog. I would be like, have you checked every kind of variable like before you kick this dog? So it's not even a vegan
But
thing.
let's
Like,
say 100%, this hypothetical, the person who is not the person who you're talking about, they have terrible sickness. They just actually feel awful, like they're
mhm,
queasy. They feel all like terrible. And
mhm.
if they just give the dog a little kick once a day, they just feel perfectly better. Like, how would you feel about that person doing it?
I'd feel bad because it's like it's not the dog's problem. Why
It's
has
not the
that got to
dog's
be the
problem.
dog's problem?
Yeah, yeah, I
And
agree.
that's the thing. Why does it have to be the cow's problem? I've been to farms. I've seen piglets dead in bins. I've been to farrowing crate facilities. I've been to the outdoor happy farms where everyone's like, "Oh, piggies, free range," and then I've seen them dead in their shelters and with head trauma in bins, like they've been bludgeoned to death. And it's just like those are the lucky ones because they didn't then end up being sent to a gas chamber. And it's like I just don't think we put it into the perspective of the other sentient beings. I think there's a
Yeah.
massive like
No,
problem.
I feel your argument. It's not like it doesn't make me feel sad to know that creatures are being killed for my meat that I just want to eat to feel better. Like I get the moral conundrum that you're in, that you just decide to, nope, not doing that. But for me, I don't feel those emotions in the same way that you do. Otherwise, I just wouldn't do it. Like,
To be clear, I'm not the best person when it comes to feeling emotions. Like I'm not very I think I lack empathy. I think I just make up for it in compassion. So I'm not even going by a feeling. It's just like logically for me.
mm,
Um yeah, I don't know why that would be the first option. And obviously we don't know if it actually is the thing that is causing the 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 positive. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like massively defined. Even in the kicking the dog context, yeah, I'd still say no.
I don't
But
know. The
it's
problem is
mm,
the 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 less plants I eat, the more meat I eat. When I've done like a strict carnivore diet, best I've ever felt in my life. So it would be confusing to me if completely removing meat and eating more of the thing that seems to be triggering me would make me feel better. That's why it's just I'm not convinced that I'm just like having this biased data. I spend my whole life trying to figure out how to feel good, and I'm just in the last 5 years kind of discovering how to feel good, and it's the opposite of what you're suggesting could be true. I just don't buy it,
I
and
think there's a mechanism behind what you're explaining though, because when you go on elimination diets, there's loads. You are making the pool smaller of these kind of like things that could be agitating you. So yeah,
yeah,
you may feel better, but the health outcomes that you're getting in that time frame are going to be negative, right? So that there's going to be a cost you're paying
I mean,
to
I would not
temporarily
care.
feel better is what I understand when people go on elimination diets to happen.
So here's what I would say about that. I would much prefer to live a shorter life feeling great than I would to live a longer life feeling like shit. So whatever makes me feel not like a zombie human, I'm gonna do that diet, even if the health outcomes long term are really bad.
Well, just to make sure that it's like analogous to what we're talking about, you're willing to alleviate possible. You're not fully confirmed, but possible feelings in a moment at the cost of another sentient being,
Yeah.
rather than maybe not feel as good, but then maybe have to go do a long health test of all these problems it could be.
I mean, I'll
Uh,
keep on going. I'm perfectly happy to acknowledge that I don't know exactly what's going on with my health, and I'm happy to. If you're recommending to do a, what do you say?
I think people talk about FODMAP diets, like elimination diets and everything like that, to kind of find out if something is like flaring up. But then obviously they do this in tandem with a dietitian.
Yeah, like
Um,
I'm happy to do that kind of thing. Like I'm always gonna try and be learning what is best for me. And it's not like I'm completely closed to the fact that I could be convinced that veganism could be healthy. I'm just not convinced of that at all. And until I
you mean for you, right? You don't
yeah,
mean
yeah, of course.
blanketly.
Of course. I don't think that no one can be healthy on a vegan diet. But I think that being in the carnivore space, there are clearly people who are triggered by plants in a very dramatic way. And those people, it would just be very difficult for them to be vegan. So coming from
That
a space like this, it seems it's polar opposites that make it very evident to me that not everyone would be able to do this,
that
even if it
doesn't
were healthy
that doesn't
for
make
some
sense.
people.
So that's like saying, oh, people with lactose intolerance wouldn't have a good time consuming carnivore. They could just avoid lactose foods.
What do you mean? Say again?
Well,
Can
you
you?
said, okay, well, there are some people, they don't do well with this type of food. Therefore, they wouldn't do well being vegan, as in having like an ethical, applied ethic position. That means that it changes their behavior. So they're basically eating plant-based foods. That's like
Right.
saying, obviously, the ethics aren't involved in the carnivore diet because that's a diet. Um, it's like saying, oh, well, some people wouldn't be able to eat like lactose, so then they couldn't do the carnivore really. It's just so you would avoid those foods. Like there's loads of
Right.
plants,
So
right? There's loads of plants. We're not going to like be allergic to every single one of them, right? And obviously, yeah, it is crap when you have like I know vegans who have soy allergies, nut allergies, or like peanut allergies, and yeah, their diet is more limited, but and it's shit for them. But you know what I mean?
yeah, so I'm confused what the what the point was. I got what we
I'm
what
saying just because someone has an allergy to a specific plant doesn't mean that they can't be vegan and that it won't
Oh, sorry.
even.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry.
I understand where you're going. I understand where you're going with that.
Yeah.
So, obviously, being from the carnivore space, you see people who are just very sick eating plants, and if they could eat some plants, then these people are struggling to find a diet which suits them best. And as you mentioned earlier, like a lot of people who go on vegan diets, they're trying to find a diet which works for them, right? And then they still have health issues, and then they swap to carnivore, and these people are trying to find a diet which fits them. And whether they fail or whatever, they're doing it wrong. It doesn't matter. These people are still just trying to find a diet which is suitable for their body. And
This is the thing though, like there's two issues with this. Like one, they don't know, like we don't know like what is genuinely like wrong with us or anything like that, right? We can't like, oh, I've done this, therefore this is causing this. That we haven't controlled for the variables, and that's why we like data. But then the other problem is this whole idea that, oh, the diet, you know, we have problems and then the diet comes along and it's suitable for us. And it seems to be that there's this high bar where a diet has to make us feel like really good before it's a suitable diet. I just think we put too much reliance on a diet helping us feel better when we've got all these other environmental factors. We've got our mental health, let alone our physical health. We've got all other stresses in life. I think people fixate so much on an aspect, be it diet, be it mental health or something like that, and it's consumes to the point where the scope is within the diet, and it's like, oh, I just keep, and I think that's the mentality of people who diet hop. They think, oh, I've taken this out, now I'm thriving. It's like, no, you're just probably excited that you have like
Yeah, they're high on a new diet.
yeah, like a hope that this is going to make it's, I've had to kill that part of me that's like, oh, if I just buy this thing from the charity shop, then this will solve my life. Like that was literally my mentality. If I do this thing, I will, everything will go away. And
Love a good charity shop.
I love a charity shop. Yeah. everything behind me is a charity shop find or a boot sale. But yeah, I think it's a mentality problem where it's like, I think we have diets. I don't believe there is an optimal diet currently. I don't think we have that. I think in future that may be something. However, I don't think that, like, even if you are feeling horrible while you're on a diet, that doesn't mean the diet's the bad thing or the diet's causing you some sort of negative health outcome.
Like my intuition just says the opposite. I think that human diets are going to be one of the most important factors to how you feel. The thing that you put inside your body to fuel your existence just seems to me that it's pretty self-evidently obvious that it's going to make you feel good if it's a good diet and bad if it's a shit diet. Like the standard American diet. Like I don't know if you ever had like a phase of eating just like pure shit. Like the
Oh
actual
yeah.
just standard English diet, like McDonald's,
Oh
all that kind
yeah.
of shit. Like you just feel bad, right? Like it just feels awful. Clearly the fuel we put into our bodies is going to affect how we feel and how healthy we are. So to me, it just makes sense that if we put the right things in, it'll be the opposite. We'll feel great. And it doesn't make sense to me that focusing on that is like some sort of hysteria. But like, I don't know, to me, that
It's not
sounds like the most.
necessarily, to be clear, it's not necessarily a hysteria. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, cool. I'm just being a bit hyperbolic. But
Okay.
like I'm just saying, like, I think that's reasonable. I think it's really reasonable to assume that your diet might play a massive factor in how you feel.
It might play a massive factor in how you feel. I think this kind of like, oh, well, I feel better when I consume the flesh of animals and avoid eating broccoli or something. Like, it's really not putting it into perspective.
You don't think it's
Like,
possible?
hmm?
You don't think that's possible?
It's possible for someone to report a better feeling when they do that.
So, like,
That
for example, that is like literally me. Like broccoli, bloating. Feel like
Whereas I have a whole
terrible.
head of broccoli, like quite often actually.
100%. Of course. Like, I think
Yeah.
that human beings have obviously evolved in different places all over the planet, meaning our ancestors evolved to adapt to different food sources. If you were closer to the equator, you probably were adapted to eating way more plants. And if you were closer to the North Pole, very likely you adapted to eating way more meat because there just wasn't plants there. So, depending on your evolutionary history, it's very likely that you are not going to have the exact same dietary requirements or adaptations than other humans. And humans have mixed a lot as well. So it's not even like people from up north are going to be better at eating meat and people down south are going to be better at eating plants because we mixed so much. Those genes are probably spread around a lot. The fact is that some humans react really badly to broccoli and some don't. And how do we understand that? Because some
Well,
humans have adaptations and some don't.
well, some adaptations aren't even necessarily a good thing. There's this thing called antagonistic pleiotropy.
What is it?
It's basically how let me get it actually so I don't like completely butcher. Antagonistic pleiotropy. It's the theory in evolutionary biology that suggests certain genes may confer beneficial effects early in an organism's life, enhancing survival or fertility. Yeah, basically, you may have an adaptation that is really good for you in your younger years, but it will cut your life.
Yeah, it's like that pig who has a tusk that grows out of its snoot and then curls round into its own brain.
Yeah,
Obviously,
so it's
adaptation, it would have been good to have a big horn, big curly horn, but then it kills you at some point.
yeah, so that there is a theory that you know, something like the flesh of animals could be antagonistically pleiotropic.
Yeah, I've heard it.
So yeah, like you may feel good in the moment, but like if you're looking for something that will have you, because you know you talk about living a long, happy, healthy life. You know, the health outcome data is demonstrating that it seems that if you consume more plants, it will be conducive to a healthier life. Obviously,
Well,
you
what
can't
I said,
ensure a long, happy, healthy life.
well, to like quote me precisely, what I said was, I would rather live a shorter, higher quality life than a longer, less
Oh
quality life.
yes, no, I remember. Okay, yes,
So,
sorry. So
like
so yeah,
that
you'd
had,
rather live the shorter life
yes.
at
So
at the expense of other sentient beings, if that means you can have a good feeling in that time.
why are you morally loading it so bad at the end?
Well,
I
no,
thought we
no,
had a
no, I'm
nice
not.
conversation and
Hang
you're
on,
being
hang on. I'm
morally
sorry.
loaded.
No, sorry. Just to put it into perspective, I'm not morally loading it. We are. I'm just making sure it's mapped onto reality, right? It literally is at the cost of. You know what I
I
mean?
know, but like we're having a nice conversation. You say it like that at the end makes
Well,
me
no, no,
feel.
no. I've said it. I've said it. I've said that like 3 times. Have I
I
not?
know,
Like,
but
I just because obviously
that
I
one
don't
felt
want.
different.
Yeah, I don't want to stray away from the perspective because obviously, as an animal rights advocate,
No, I get it. I'm joking. I'm
yeah,
joking. Don't worry.
yeah,
I'm
okay.
joking.
I don't want to. I'm not trying to like load it as in misinformation or misrepresent. Like I'm trying to map it to the plight.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's your
The
preference,
answer is
right?
yes. The
Yes.
answer is
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, I'm just
Yes.
trying to work out like because obviously I don't want people having like health problems. I don't want to completely sound completely entirely unempathetic, right? But at the same time, we have to, I think, in my view, consider other sentient beings. If the cost is so high to them, then it's kind of like, well, we should be looking for other alternatives.
Yeah, and that's what Cow's Paradise is for. Full
Well,
circle.
but of course, obviously, Cow's Paradise. I know you said in a video somewhere. If you can give me more context? You were like, "Oh, people keep dismissing it because it's not realistic." Was that something you said?
I think I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think I would have said something. I'll say it now. People were dismissing it because it was a hypothetical, not because
Yeah.
necessarily it was like
Okay.
wrong. People were just saying, well, this isn't technically real, so it's wrong. It's like, no, it's a thought experiment. And I'm proposing we could implement something like that into reality. And if we could, it would be more moral than veganism. That was my point. So
Yeah. To be clear, what I heard wasn't that because but that's fair enough. I understand that because people reject hypotheticals against vegans all the time because I'm like, oh, human farm, like you know, I give them the hypothetical and they
I mean, as you
dismiss
can
it.
tell, like I'm happy to delve into
Yeah.
any hypothetical you want.
So I
Like the point of hypothetical is to test the logic. It doesn't need to be
yes,
like literally real.
exactly. But the problem is I thought you were criticizing when people were saying it's not analogous to reality.
What do you mean, sir?
So obviously hypotheticals are really important for us to
Mhm.
test these views. But obviously if we're going to map it onto our behavior in real
Oh no, yeah.
life,
Yes, that's what
yeah, we
everyone's
have
saying.
to,
Everyone's saying it's like, yeah, slaughterhouses are not paradise. What are you talking about? Obviously, like, of course.
yeah, well that's the problem though. It is obviously it is the limit of the short form content is we
I thought that's
can't.
pretty clear, to be honest. I
No,
was saying like,
I thought you were. I thought the implication from that was therefore this is why I'm not vegan. I genuinely thought that you were making the inference from that you shouldn't be vegan because you actually have a more moral hypothetical that isn't analogous to the real world. That was
but
my.
wouldn't it being hypothetical imply that it's not real though?
No. It is that is the implication, that it's not real because it's a conditional, right,
You know
or
what I'm saying?
hypothetical.
Like,
But
I don't get how people misinterpreted it so badly. Like, I was pretty clear with it being a hypothetical.
okay, say for example, I'll try and make it clear. Say I am a woman beater. I just beat women.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, well, I believe, like, here's a hypothetical for you guys. Wouldn't it be better for women to just be beaten, like just then like not having been born? Obviously, I'm not saying this maps onto yours analogously, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were like, but you do beat women, so like you're not like thinking that it's okay to do it on the basis of something completely like not analogous to real life. I think that's why the alarm bells went off.
So let's say I was a vegan, and then I proposed something like that. I just thought it was more moral to just have
Yeah.
cow paradise, even though I was a vegan. Do you
Then
think that people?
people would have dismissed it on the basis of it being a hypothetical because people's brains do that. But I don't think there would have been the confusion that you are then trying to possibly make like an implication to others that it's justified because of this magical world hypothetical.
Yeah. I think that you were right with your first intuition. People's brains just do that. If they hear a position they don't like, their brains just malfunction and they don't hear the conceptualization of a thought experiment.
No, because if you were vegan, I think people would have understood. Obviously, I can't speak for everyone because brain rot is a real thing. But yeah, I think it would have been much less of a problem. Like if I post it and I was like, right, guys, like what if we bred all these?
I wish it was April Fool's suit, like so you could have.
I mean, on your April Fools, you were like, oh, guys,
Know,
vegans, you're right now. I was like, guys, this dude's such a hater. Are you gonna stop being a hater now, actually? Because
it was a bit shit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't very funny.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, I think you should stop with this cow paradise, and I think you should watch The Island, okay? Then you should tag me, right, and come back to me, and you even make a video and be like, look, I watched The Island where they organ harvest humans, and you know what? I think it's actually great. Brilliant. Yeah, so I want that. And until then, I want you to take the precautionary principle and stop making these videos that make it sound like you're anti-vegan, because obviously, you know, it's not the vegan that suffers. Like when people say the most darndest things to me on Facebook before blocking me, it doesn't affect me. You know, like I'm gonna go eat a bacon sandwich. You should unalive yourself while you're at it. Yeah, and it's like it's not me who suffers there. It's like the animals. And there's just too much abuse and exploitation. Like we don't need to add to it. Do you know what I mean?
To round off this conversation, do you think that cow paradise would be better than the world we live now? Let's say veganism is just not going to happen. You're not going to get a vegan world. Would you prefer my reality than to me, it just seems obvious you're going to say yes, but maybe you won't. But would you prefer that to what we have now? Let's say we could actually convince people to do cow's paradise, but we're just never going to convince people to do veganism. Would you be behind that? Would you actually be like, yeah, we should do that instead?
I wouldn't be behind it in the sense because I don't like get behind welfare stuff in like principle. Like I may like vote or something like that. So I would maybe vote.
It's a trolley problem. It's a trolley problem. We have
but I wouldn't. I would still be. So in that instance, though I may vote or something like that, or sign a petition or something, I would still be then just changing my rhetoric to, instead of like farming animals, it would be anti-cow's paradise. You know what I mean? I would then become an anti-cow paradise advocate. Because obviously the numbers would be less of the victims. You know, their overall well-being would be
exactly the same amount. It's just cow's paradise now. They just have super perfect lives, painless death. Let's say the trolley problem. We have on the one trolley, we have the current slaughterhouses. You could either pull the lever and we can go to cow's paradise. Same amount of cows, but just
okay. The current number of farmed cows, the farmed ones.
Sorry, what? What do you mean?
You're talking about farmed animals for food, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
So the numbers are equalized. I mean, it would generate less, you know, suffering, but at the same time, I have a big issue, and I'm recently realizing just how large the issue might be. Whereas you add welfare barriers, where they say, "Oh, we've taken away the cages now," it's not clear to me that like less rights violations are even happening, or less suffering, or less well-being is being achieved, because then, you know, the welfare regulation is regulated by the councils, who are then, you know, regulated by, I think they work in tandem with Red Tractor, RSPCA, and these are obviously
fair enough. The world is horrible. The world is fucking
yeah.
awful.
So it's like
But for the trolley
know.
problem, would you pull the lever?
I wouldn't pull it. I wouldn't pull it. I wouldn't be the one to make the click, basically. If the click was going to happen, or it was like there was an option and I could be kind of part of the pulling, then maybe I'd vote towards that, but I wouldn't like indefinitely pull it myself.
To me, that sounds bad, though. That sounds like the same situation as there are suffering kids that are gonna wait. It doesn't even map properly, does it? I was gonna say, in my mind,
basically people want to make a lot of apologia for abusing individuals, right? So if you do like beat your wife free Mondays, for me, I feel like I shouldn't vote on that, because it kind of gives the idea that beating your wife the rest of the week is fine.
Yeah, I feel you.
So it's kind of like, obviously then I am then committed to not preventing so much torture and everything like that, but I like in principle the accepting that happening, or making it harder to abolish it entirely, that then comes into my so it would much be.
But isn't part of your factoring in the fact that they are suffering? Because for me, the main concern is the animals go through pain and suffering. It's not like the rights violation for me. I just feel like rights don't exist, rights aren't real. The fact that they're suffering and have painful, excruciating deaths, have bare anxiety, that's the problem. It's not like the rights. So for me, when you say that, it just feels like, don't you care about the pain and suffering?
I definitely, it's definitely a factor, right? But I watch a lot of homesteaders and everything. They're literally cuddling these animals while they're talking about how they're going to kill them and eat them. And then in the next video, they're hanging their brothers upside down to eat them. And it might be better. Yeah, that's the problem though. But unfortunately, a lot of people come to me and they're like, well, won't you prefer this? But it's presented as a false dichotomy, because I would opt for neither. But in this kind of hypothetical where I have to pick one, my leaning is to pick the homestead. You know what I mean? But
I think it's very reasonable. Like, the fact that people might not seems very weird to me. Why wouldn't they? Like,
well, because obviously then I'm making it comes back to the beat your wife every other day except Monday, right? That's my reasoning.
Being beaten one less day is still better, in my perspective.
For the victim, it's better, but on a policy level, on a principle level, on how we then behave, it kind of gives apologia to the concept of beating your wife, which in the long run may actually have worse ramifications for those who are yet to be violated. That's the reason.
Oh, you think that if we give any sort of like moral allowance to these ideas, then we might not get full veganism.
Yeah, or full human rights, or like women's rights in that instance, right?
That's fair enough. I get the argument.
That is my reason. That's why I'm just trying to explain why it would be tough for me to make the decision.
I get it. Obviously, in this thought experiment, it's just like, would you want, assume you cannot have veganism, it's just never going to happen, then obviously it just makes sense. less pain and suffering.
Then I'd probably would pick the homestead. Like, well, because again, you're acknowledging why I'm caught up though, right?
No, I get it completely, but as soon as I say we just hypothetically can't have veganism, never going to happen, then it just
sorry, I understood. Yeah, then I'm going to pick that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to pick the beat your wife not on Monday. I'm going to pick that. Yeah. But obviously, sorry, take that out of the equation. But obviously in the real equation, there's always this ability to have another option. So yeah, sorry, I was stuck in the real world there.
Oh, that sounds like a dick.
No. I couldn't bring myself to the hypothetical realm there. Sorry, that was not a dick. As I was
I'm going to
asking,
the island. I'm done with this conversation. Where's my island?
yeah, please watch the film, okay? Tag
No,
me, be like,
I'm
look, we
genuinely
had a
going to.
debate, and
I'm genuinely going to. Even though the rating is 6.8 out of 10,
do you know, I
39 Rotten Potato. Rotten
apparently it
Tomatoes.
was an amazing film. It just for some, I was actually watching something about it because I was trying to get a better synopsis, and people said, oh, it just kind of like plummeted, but people don't really know why. So it might be one of those hidden gems. Is Ewan McGregor's good? So I don't.
Oh no, he's in Train Spotting. Is he
Train
Anakin
Spotting.
Skywalker?
He's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Cool. Yeah,
Beautiful
sweet.
man.
Yeah, good looking guy.
Yeah, but yeah, I think obviously because I see these videos, because I respond to a lot of like, that's the thing, you've come up in my algorithm. As I look at like farming stuff, homesteading stuff, because I respond to all these things, then you popped up. Then I saw this stuff, and my interpretation was that you actually, I didn't know that you were like in a carnivore, even though your name was Carnivore Cult. I was like confused by it. I was like, he seems to not like carnivores. He seems to not like vegans very
I
much.
tossed out everyone. They're all. Sorry, can I say that?
I don't like it myself, but
No.
everyone says it these days. But yeah, yeah. So you have a problem with everyone in that aspect.
Honestly, I just think that most people are not free. I want to say the R word again. Most people are not free thinkers, and most people just go along with the group and they just say the things that the smart person they know says, and blah 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 blah. I really do appreciate having genuine dialectic where I can bounce off ideas of people who really want to maybe not change their mind necessarily, but understand where I'm coming from. And I'm just trying to figure out how to have a voice like that on Instagram. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not, as you can see, some of my videos are a bit more inflammatory. I'm being a bit Facebook warrior-y, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm I've kind of already realized that I don't really want to be like that so much. I want to have a bit more of a genuine conversation
That's
and
the
not
thing.
be so triggering.
If you're seeking honest dialectic, then you'll be hard pressed to find it if you're kind of like upping the troll dial a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. I figured that out pretty quickly, and
Yeah.
as we've had a very good conversation, I think that I'm doing a pretty good job.
Hmm.
Like we've found each other to have a conversation. I feel like it's gone very well. So I
Yeah, I
think it's
mean,
going
you
well.
didn't. Unfortunately, I do debate people a lot, and obviously, this wasn't set up to be like a more full on debate, because some of them can be a bit blood sporty,
Mm.
unfortunately. But yeah, I am hard pressed to believe that I will hear an argument that will make me not be vegan, just as I'm hard pressed to see one that will make me not believe in human rights or something like that. Is plausible, it could exist, and I haven't thought about it, but my credence in these being like strong positions is very high. So yeah, but yeah, I see people online and their views unclear, or it's inflammatory or a bit trolley, then I do feel compelled to like have a discussion with them. Unfortunately, it doesn't really end up happening. They just because I don't up the troll. I am sassy online, definitely. That's just who I am. I come across very condescending. I really try and tone police myself, but it doesn't work out very well. So
I think we've
people,
been very polite this conversation,
that's
so
good
that's
then.
good.
I've heard myself in my brain and thought, oh, you sound a bit your tone. So yeah, but it's kind of how I speak. But yeah, I see so much abuse all day. I spend a lot of my time looking at animals, unfortunately, in horrific positions, right? And I now understand your viewpoint better, but I really hope, yeah, the trolling of the vegan stuff just stops, because it's not the vegan who feels the effect of that, right? That was my motivation, at least.
If you actually like see a few more of my videos as well, I'm actually pretty defensive about vegans too. Like I'm pretty sure I made like 2 videos yesterday where I was cussing out carnivore people or meat eaters after seeing that the Jubilee video.
Jubilee. Yeah, but just
I'm
because even if you're cussing out, like I try and see pro soy stuff, for example. Like, say someone's like, oh, you shouldn't like have a problem with soy. I try and see that as like a pro vegan thing, but it is distantly. It's not like a focus on the animals or anything, because veganism is just going to be about the animals. But if you're just kind of like having a go at carnivores,
No,
it
no, no.
might
I was
distantly.
saying, the people who insult vegans,
Mhm.
who just eat the standard American diet, are worse than vegans because these people don't even think about their food choices at all. They're just sheep. I made a video saying something like that, and
Do
I
you
made
know?
another video.
Yeah,
Go
but
on.
do you know that like obviously if you've made vegan videos and it's not a wild assumption to think that the people who are going to see you have already seen you because of how the algorithm functions.
Oh no, I started
Wait,
getting cussed for being a vegan after I made that
well,
video.
well, yeah. Well, when you say like, oh, they're worse than vegans, it kind of sounds like it. From my viewpoint, you think vegans are still bad. They're just not as bad. You know.
Kind of. I see what
Do you
you're
know?
saying.
Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
That the implication is that I think that vegans are annoying,
Yeah,
but
or bad. But
fair
yeah,
enough.
like
Fair enough.
honestly,
Fair enough.
I don't know. I understand why someone would find vegans annoying, but like are
No,
you at the
that is a
position?
fair. That's fair. I do find vegans annoying, but I find everyone annoying.
Okay, but you don't find like if I were like, "Oh, I find straight people really annoying, but I find everyone annoying." It just kind of sounds like
Yeah.
maybe I have a problem with straight people a bit more, you
Well,
know?
it depends. It depends on the context of what I'm talking about. If I'm making videos about food, I'm talking about the vegans are super annoying, the carnivores are super annoying, the keto people are super annoying. You know, like then it starts to feel a bit more egalitarian with my annoyance.
Yeah, maybe a bit, but yeah, if I just made videos randomly about straight people and how annoying they are,
Yeah, but now just say you started making videos about straight people, videos about gay people, videos about bi people, videos about
mhm.
trans people, and it was just you're hitting everyone like a Nietzschean philosopher. Like you're gonna hit everyone in the same way. He's not against Plato specifically. He's hitting everyone.
But then why do you find vegans annoying?
What do you mean? Most people are annoying
Yeah,
and like they have dumb arguments. Like
but but like obviously if I single out straight people, I'm kind of asserting there's something specific about them that is annoying specific to them that I can identify them, you know?
I mean, do you not think like let's just reach a point of agreement here.
Mhm.
When I see carnivore people arguing with vegans, I think they are cringe. But I also think the vegans are cringe. I just think everyone is cringe. So it's
It
not like,
depends. It depends what they're arguing though.
but do you
I
see
wouldn't say
vegans and you
I wouldn't
think that like,
say flatly that every carnivore who debates me is
of course not,
annoying. There's just
of
some
course
who
not, of
do
course not.
certain things that are annoying.
Of course, if you want to catch me in a mood where I'm a bit less hyperbolic, then I will obviously make what do you call it? I would obviously uh, not
Make
be
the
so flat.
distinction.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
Okay,
I
yeah.
would obviously make the distinction about people who are not like not everyone on the carnivore diet is actually that annoying, but some of them are. So these are just the general stereotypes that we have for people who are annoying on the carnivore diet. Same in the vegan diet. Like obviously, if you want to catch me in a mood where when I'm being a bit more serious, I will make those distinctions to not be annoying. You know what I mean? Like to be hyperbolic. But if I'm making a 30-second video on Instagram, I'm just going to be a bit hyperbolic.
I get it for sure, which you said you obviously want to troll. I'm just trying to, obviously, as a vegan sitting here, I just wanted to find out if there was something specific about veganism that you find, or a vegan that you find annoying, so I could potentially hash through it as all.
Specific about veganism that I
Or
find annoying.
vegans. It seems like you find vegans annoying. But I don't think you find them annoying because they're a human, right? You
No,
find them annoying because of something they maybe do or say, or
yeah, I argue with people a lot on the internet. Well, I used to. I haven't
Mhm.
done it for years. As I've said multiple times, I used to be a big Facebook warrior, and
The worst place to debate. It's
back
no
back in
joke.
back in the day, it was the best place. You know, it
Mm.
was a good time. I was like known in my little town, Crawley, for being a Facebook warrior. It was really bad,
Oh
like
God, that's how you know
really bad.
that's how you know you need to move.
It was
Like,
really bad. It was really bad. Like people would actually like know me as that. It was terrible. But from all of my days of Facebook warrioring, I have been annoyed at many different people for many different things. I do not discriminate. Like people, in my view, are just stupid. And arguing with people who make stupid arguments, I find them annoying. And everyone of every different position or creed, they have different arguments that they bring, and they're all equally stupid in my eyes. I don't particularly dislike vegans for any other reason than, they're wrong. Like from my perspective, they're just wrong about stuff when they make arguments.
Like what?
You know, it depends on the argument. I'm not trying to like get in a vegan debate about anything. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
I see people making arguments. I think they're wrong, and you know, people being really forthright in their wrongness, I think is, you know, annoying.
Yeah, it just obviously it would be weird for me to be like, here's this video about straight people. Straight people say this, but what I actually mean is all people. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but straight people are going to make different arguments than gay people, right?
Yeah, and I was trying to find out what arguments. That's what I'm trying to find out. What do vegans argue that's wrong? Is
Are you trying
the
to coax me into a debate?
Oh, well, maybe another debate because I get the impression that you've been trying to finalize it. But I
No,
mean, if you
we
have
can.
a hmm?
We can. We tell you what. We can talk about something that's like a vegan debate, but it's not going to be a serious debate. Like I'm not that. What do you call it? I don't have very strong opinions on a lot of these things.
Well, then if it's not your view, then we don't need to do that. Like, because it
No,
would
I
seem more
have
like a.
views that I think are compelling and interesting that I could play with and we could have a conversation.
It was just
But
more
like,
that if you've seen a claim that you think vegans make that's wrong or annoying, is the
okay, vegans. Maybe you don't claim this. I don't know if you do, but one of the things that I see vegans claim is humans didn't evolve to eat meat, and they bring up these pictures of the digestive tracts of humans and
Mhm,
they compare them to, you know, different animals. They'll say that we didn't evolve to eat meat, blah blah.
mhm.
I think that's, I don't know, kind of absurd to say that humans didn't evolve to eat meat. I think it's pretty obvious, given lots of different reasons that we could go over, that humans did evolve eating meat. Do you
Yeah,
agree?
so with that, I just think it's an interesting anthropological analysis, but it doesn't matter either way. Even if we evolved to consume plants, if we
Yeah.
evolved and we were consuming the flesh and secretions of animals, that's not
I
the
thought you might say
important
this though.
part.
I thought you might say this. Like,
Yeah. I
but
don't
you,
like just because we're evolved to do something doesn't mean we should do it, right?
yeah, fair. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's like that's a good moral argument. Just because you're evolved to do something doesn't mean that you should or you
Yeah, I
ought
did a
to.
video recently about granny punching because I have fists that I can
Yeah,
clench.
I saw it. I
So
saw it.
yeah.
I watched some of your videos. But yeah, that's one of the things that annoys me. Vegans will
Mhm.
make bold-faced claims like humans evolved to eat roots and tubers and not meat. It seems pretty clear to me humans did evolve eating meat through our evolutionary history.
Yeah, I think my understanding is that like cooking food, be it plants and the flesh of animals, helped us develop. That's my understanding, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't if that were false or something, it wouldn't be a problem to me in the sense that like my arguments don't depend on
yeah,
evolutionary adaptations or something like that. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's
So
not a strong
yeah,
argument. Yeah,
yeah.
arguing that because we evolved to eat something, it means we should. It just doesn't logically track. Let's say hypothetically we evolved to eat something, but then we could eat something else and it would be better for our health outcomes. Obviously, we should eat that other thing.
Exactly.
So, like, yeah, that's a terrible argument, obviously. But I think that it does at least give us like directional ideas of what we should eat to be healthy. For example, if we look at something like the bait one, like B12, like in your bio, it
Oh,
at least,
B24.
yeah, yeah,
Lacking
like
B24, yeah.
it at least informs us what our species evolved to eat, therefore what we need to be healthy. Obviously, you can just take a vitamin, some vegans will say, and yeah, but like, yeah, some of the vegan arguments are just like you don't you can get. I argued with someone saying that they can get B12 from drinking water, and it's just like not
Yeah,
enough.
I think you'd have to drink like 10 liters or something that you just wouldn't drink in order for that to be the case.
Yeah, like
Because yeah, I
basically
think it is
impossible.
in drinking systems, but I'm not even sure. And yeah, I don't know why people would even say that when you can just supplement. And it's not just like a vegan thing. The supplement industry is a big one. And even when people have B12 deficiencies, they are often prescribed supplements or even injections. So yeah, I don't know why it'd be like, oh, let's just drink water.
Yeah, terrible idea.
Yeah,
And
no.
from my understanding, I had to Google this. The the water that has an actual like decent amount of B12 in it is not running streams of water. It is like I think it was called green water, and it's basically ponds that have
Yeah.
algae in it.
Well,
So
yeah.
it's even less than these people are arguing because running water does not have B12 in it. Tiny, teeny amounts. So humans,
Hmm.
as I was saying, like clearly evolved to eat meat. Clearly, even though I get it, it's not a prescription to do that just because we evolved to do it. Fair enough.
Hmm. Yeah, I know vegans do that, and I think when I was first vegan, I believed those arguments. But I think you'll find, and this is speculation, but a lot of the vegans that I know, personally, they're like philosophy bros. They're very into STEM, like science and everything like that, and they just like they would pass away if they genuinely made that argument at this point in their life. So
Mm.
I obviously it might be the crowd that I hang out with, but I don't like appeals to nature. I find them fallacious.
No, of
So
course, it's
yeah.
very stupid. Not that appeals to nature aren't. I don't want to say it's completely redundant because your nature obviously has something to do with your evolution, and your evolution will dictate the kind of foods that you evolve to eat. So, like, the fact that you need a B12 supplement is an important thing to know. Like,
But yeah, not though because naturally though. It's just because oh well, you will develop pernicious anemia. You don't really or you could develop pernicious anemia or other like health problems. It's not because oh it's unnatural. Like we you wouldn't make the argument you need to take B12 because it's natural. Like you would say oh you need to take it because if you don't like you will be at risk of these health problems. Yes,
yeah,
maybe our nature has aided the mechanism, but that's not necessarily why. Because it might be in my nature to I was born with poor vision, so it should have been in my nature to actually die probably very early. You know what I
things like
mean? But that
that.
would have been good for me.
But I actually
But
think that it is because it's in our nature that you must have B12. Like, it, by definition, because it's in our nature, because we evolved to need it, therefore we need it. I think that is actually how it tracks.
I'm just trying to think. I just don't think that like it can explain it, but I just don't think it's in our nature. I just wouldn't frame it that way. I'd just say it's a biological requirement, which doesn't follow that it's necessarily natural because naturally,
To me,
yeah,
that sounds like what you're saying is it's natural, therefore we need it.
well no, because
Like,
naturally like it might have been really hard to actually even get it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, but the fact that we require it for certain bodily functions is part of our nature, therefore we need it to function.
I think it's because I think what's tripping me up here is because people put a lot of baggage into our nature. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not doing that, don't worry. Like, I'm not trying to
Yeah,
do like a got you here. I'm just saying, like, by definition, it is because of our evolutionary nature. The thing that played out through evolutionary time is our human nature, right? And the thing that we evolved to require was B12. Therefore, it's just like semantic point, really.
yeah.
But
I think I'm just exchanging what you mean by in our nature in this context for it is a biological requirement. I think that's just what's
yeah,
happening.
they're the same thing. I've got a question for you though. I made a video about this. I don't know if you saw it, but do you think that as a vegan, you should be, what's the word for it? Do you think as a vegan that you have a duty to eat the foods that come with the least amount of crop deaths?
Oh, I saw this right, and I don't know where because you said that fruit causes no deaths, right?
I think I was just talking off the cuff. I was just saying like fruit probably causes like nah, I haven't checked it.
Yeah, I'm pretty
But
sure because I was like, you made like statistical empirical claims, and I was like, I was wondering if you'd seen any evidence that shows the numbers of each
no.
plant.
Like, just to be clear, I didn't research this deeply. I was just
Okay.
going off the fact that there are almost certainly some foods that come with less and more crop deaths. Would you
Hmm.
agree? So it's like it's just like
Um.
if I was a vegan, I would do my due diligence and check which ones have the least, which ones have the most, and eat from the least. I think that's just like logically consistent with being a vegan.
Unfortunately not, because crop deaths, I don't know how they could be ascribed to a vegan. Like vegan farming systems, like veganic systems, don't really exist in a way that like vegans can feasibly get. So in this current system, I wouldn't grant that. Maybe in future, if you had like an alternative veganic system that people
Wait,
could
why?
pick.
Because
Because
from
why
my
is...
perspective, let me tie it up a little bit because I
Mhm.
feel like you missed the point.
Yeah.
There are foods that have less and foods that have more, right? More crop deaths. So
Are
as a
there?
vegan, I thought that's what we agreed to a second ago.
Yeah, but well, yeah, I'm not even sure
Okay,
on
logically
that.
speaking, we can probably assume that some foods come with more crop deaths, like
Okay,
grains, because
We're doing an Occam's razor right now,
like
and just
they're tilling the land, right? And they
yeah,
kill everything in the land.
yeah.
A fruit tree probably just comes with some pesticides, kill some bugs. Like logically speaking, that's just there must be some foods that have less crop deaths and some that have more.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think like something that like is like burnt down or something, like palm is burnt sometimes, or you can get different methods of like procuring it. So there could feasibly be one that does more. I just don't know what it would be.
Yeah, like in the world right now, I think that it's obvious there are probably some foods that vegans
Hmm.
could eat that have less crop deaths
Yeah.
and some that have way more. And from my perspective, if I was going to be a vegan, it would just be logical that I would do my due diligence and find the foods with the least crop deaths. You know what I mean? Like that seems like logical given a vegan position that's something you would do. But I've never had a vegan ever talk about that.
Yeah, we talk about crop deaths a lot, and there's like multiple avenues. Like for some, like with the crop deaths, it's a like self-protection thing of your food security and everything like that. So it's like some vegans would be like, well, even in the human context, if these humans were like illegally trying to eat my food, then I would Trader Just do the same thing. So they would say that, and they just bite the bullet.
See,
It wouldn't matter to them, I don't
I,
think.
I don't know about that argument, you know. I feel like the argument that it's like self-defense to kill the animals because it's your food, I just feel like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it'd be like a prop. It's they're going on a like a I guess a libertarian property kind of
yeah,
analysis.
but that's not your land. Like the world is not yours. You know what I
Well,
mean? It's like
yeah.
you went
Obviously,
onto their land, you took their land, and you
I
grew
know.
crops on it,
I'm
and you didn't kill
giving.
them.
I'm trying to give the vegan positions,
Yeah.
that you would have heard, because I don't think like vegans talk about crop deaths quite a lot, but my current view at the moment is I don't know how we assign this specifically to vegans.
But let's just say it's hypothetical, right? Let's say fruit has way less crop deaths, and
Yeah.
then grains have way more.
Hmm.
Wouldn't it be in line with your philosophy as a vegan to not eat grains because you know they come with the most death?
Are we
And
doing
we
this isocalorically?
so you mean like calorie for calorie?
Yeah.
Um, I don't. It's hard to say. Like I don't know. And
Because obviously
like
fruit is just so much lower in calories. It's going to depend on how it's being measured.
let's just say even just like what do you say isocalorically?
Yeah, it just means kind of like similar
Yeah, cool.
calorie adjustment.
One for one. Let's just say there are some grains that
Hmm.
require more pesticides and more crop killing, and there are others that have less. Wouldn't it just make sense for a vegan to have to pick the one that has less?
If it, so in your hypothetical, is saying if it requires it, if it has to, then yes, you would be committed to it. But then when you map it out into the real world, this is when it becomes a difficulty, because the vegan view is that the farmers, they don't need to be doing the methods that they do. They just choose them because they're not vegan. So why would it matter? They're not going to take the option. Of course, they're just going to kill the animals.
Yeah, but isn't the vegan position basically you are paying for that to happen?
Yeah, it's not entailed in that though necessarily. Like, how do I know if I know that, like, for example, with if I buy a cow burger, I know that a cow, the purchase will maybe trigger a threshold purchase whereby this number of animals is sent
Yeah.
to a slaughterhouse, right?
Yep.
I can't know when I buy like blueberries or something, or let's put it in like, would you say like oats or more, like, or
Yeah. Let's say.
potatoes or more? Yeah, say if
Yeah,
I
I
buy the
think grains are higher.
potatoes, I don't know that that's entailed in the process. So
But in
it's not like,
reality, it
it's not one for
is
one.
like. But you like in like this isn't even hypothetical. It like literally is.
How do
When you
I?
buy potatoes, like you literally know that the potatoes are going to come with crop deaths. And let's say hypothetically, you could, as a vegan, shouldn't you just not? If you could buy something else that comes with less crop deaths.
If it was entailed in the process, but I'm not granting that it is, because obviously right now we don't know the numbers. But obviously we're trying to like hypothetical it, but I'm just getting caught up because it's not in a real world application. We're trying to apply.
I don't even think it's a hypothetical. I think it's
Okay, so
like
you think it's real world.
literally real.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
like
then we
literally
would,
real.
okay,
Like
then we
crop
would have
deaths.
to demonstrate the numbers. We would have to demonstrate that it's entailed, and then we would have to do the
Wait, do you believe crop deaths are real?
counterfactual.
Do you like?
Yeah,
Are you?
animals are killed for crop protection, yeah, or
Yeah,
for
yeah,
other
yeah.
like, yeah, usually
When
crop
they till the
protection.
land, right? They kill the animals to like set. I don't know what tilling the land means. Like turning the soil over or
Yeah,
whatever, and that kills animals. But like to grow potatoes, that must happen. So when
yeah,
you buy
but
potatoes, you see what I mean? Like it
I
comes with
understand,
that.
but when it comes to crop deaths, it's also very difficult because I haven't even added in the other factors where you put in the counter, because what I just said with the counterfactual analysis, like who's to say more animals don't die if that's like left to be grassland or like animal land or farmed animal land or even forests. Like
I know, I know we're
say
getting
you're
away
like,
from the
I'm going
point.
to, oh no, this is directly to the point. If you
Okay.
have, if I'm like, look, I don't want to like kill all these animals to grow my potatoes, I'm going to rewild this area.
Mhm.
I actually may be creating a scenario and responsible for a scenario where more animals are killed.
I don't. I don't think I'm following
Because
why it's
if
permitted.
you turn something into a wild area, all the animals will kill each other and eat each other, right? Not all of them, but like loads of animals will kill and eat each other. If I've taken that land and then put it in for those animals, then the counterfactual may be that I'm responsible for more deaths inadvertently by
Okay,
using that land for a
let me
specific
start again.
purpose.
Let me start again. So there are two foods you could be paying for as a vegan.
Hmm.
One of them is potatoes. Let's assume that has 10 crop deaths.
Okay, 10 for a potato, yeah.
Yeah, 10 for a potato. Versus, I don't know, barley. Let's say
Barley.
this has 5. So it has
5
half the crop deaths.
for
The,
isocaloric. Uh,
yeah, let's say they're the same. They're roughly similar. Cool.
mhm.
You as a vegan, from my perspective, should be looking up which one has more and then eating according to the one that has the least. Because if the farmer is going to get paid for, if the farmer is going to be paid to kill animals, it, from a vegan perspective, should come with the least amount of deaths. So either you're going to pay the farmer to grow potatoes or barley. And if you're going to be paying for this, you're creating the reason to farm this food, then surely you should be paying for the one that comes with the least.
I'm just confused because you said I don't think this is a hypothetical. Are we in hypothetical world? Yeah, here.
No, I think this is like this is real.
So
No, like
do you think really that potatoes cause 10
no,
deaths for?
no.
So
I'm saying
that's,
like the hypothetical is just like the amounts of deaths or whatever. But in the real world, there are foods that come with less and more crop deaths.
yeah. I'm just not sure. Again, I'm not sure. Then we haven't. That's why I said about we need to like do the counterfactual. We need to do the isocaloric, and then we need to find out which ones do have the deaths. The more
That's the point.
deaths.
That's the point of the hypothetical. It's just like the hypothetical is just we can assume it's probably true. Some come with more, some come with less. So we can just do the hypothetical, and then we can see what you think is right.
Yeah, I would say as a vegan, I'm unconvinced because I don't know how it's actually entailed, and I'm just why I'm getting confused is because we go into a hypothetical realm, but then you come out to say this part isn't a hypothetical, and I'm kind of confused about what you genuinely believe to be the case.
Okay, so let
So
me clarify one more time.
hmm?
Yeah, I clarify one more time.
Yeah, we can try one more time. If it doesn't
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, all good. We'll leave this
yeah,
point. But okay, so to be clear, the thing that I think is real is
it's the
there is
deaths.
certainly the case that some foods come with more or less crop deaths. Do we agree? That's real.
We agree in the sense that it happens. I just don't. I'm not convinced it's entailed. You seem to believe it is.
What do you mean by entailed?
It has to happen. Like if you grow the potatoes, there has to be this average number of
Oh no, no,
deaths.
no. Okay, let's agree. It doesn't have to be, but in the world right now, there are foods that come with more or less. Even though it's a contingent problem, we could figure out ways to make it zero potentially. I don't know if that's possible, but let's
Probably,
just
yeah, I
say
think it is plausible, like
fair
possible
enough.
with like indoor farming and stuff like that. I think you
Fair enough.
can,
So
yeah.
yeah, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. So it's
Hmm.
plausible we could, but for the point of this like argument, the thing that is real right now is some foods will certainly come with more or less. We agree?
Probably, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like just logically speaking, it probably makes sense that
Hmm.
some foods are going to come with less crop depth. Some just require different kinds
If they're
of
more land
fertilizers.
processing, yeah, stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like fruit, in my mind, just probably comes with way less crop depths. Obviously, we can't just eat fruit, but let's just say some grains come with more or less. So potatoes versus barley, right?
Hmm.
So from my perspective, if I was to be a vegan, I would think, okay, which foods have the least crop deaths? I should be eating more of them. Is that like what do you think of that?
Yeah, I understand that, but again, because it's not an entailment of that product, I then can't like grant like because obviously that's the significant difference, right? Is it's an entailment in consuming, purchasing animals and their secretions, but I'm not convinced it's an entailment. If in a hypothetical it is an entailment, then I'd say yes,
Wait,
that I would go for the less.
buying animals?
No, no, no. Buying the less crop. If I was told, look, Farmer John, for these potatoes, these specific potatoes, he has to shoot like 20 deer. He has to. But then you
Yeah.
could buy these potatoes from Farmer Terry, and he
Mm.
doesn't have to. Sometimes he might choose, but he doesn't have to. Then I'd buy them off Farmer Terry.
Oh, so I think I get where you're being stuck here. So the entailment, I'm trying to get at like the entailment of growing potatoes comes with a big meat grinder tractor thing, right? Like that just has to happen to grow potatoes in this current world. Like until we have new technology, that's always going to happen to grow potatoes. So versus a tree which just needs some pesticides sprayed on it, those two crop death uh, entailments are completely different. So one just comes with way more just because the technology we have to grow potatoes is just grinding up the land. And trees just come with, we spray them with whatever, it kills some bugs. So it comes with more deaths. So wouldn't it just make sense to eat the things that come with
I would have
less
to
deaths?
like, oh, because now we're talking about real world, right?
Yeah, yeah, real world.
I'd have to see the data on those numbers, and if there's such a high number and it is we have to, then I would avoid that food.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah, but
that's
I
good.
don't know if that's a vegan. It's going to depend on why someone's vegan, right? Um,
Yeah, cool. I'm happy with that
yeah,
answer. That's a good. I agree with that. I think it
yeah.
makes
There's going to
sense.
be a threshold, and if you have to, like, say there was this like a blackberry or something, and for it to you to farm it, you had to like kick 20 baby goats. Like I would be
Yeah, it's
like,
just
oh,
to
I'm
grow
not going to
blackberries, it's
eat that.
slaughtering millions of goats. It's
Yeah,
just like
they have
super
to.
unnecessary.
Yeah, they have
Yeah,
to. They're just like, oh, now we have to slit their throats because you got this
yeah,
blackberry. Then yeah,
yes,
I would avoid that food,
yes.
and
Okay,
it
cool,
would
cool,
yeah
cool, cool.
for me.
I'm
Yeah,
happy with that. To me, that makes so much sense that you would. Yeah, cool.
yeah. I think it's just I got when I saw that video, just obviously like when you're saying these, I would just avoid these empirical claims because then people are gonna. If you make a positive empirical claim, people are just gonna want the empirical evidence, and it
mm,
happens a lot of the time where we just kind of say something.
mm.
And actually we've never read anything like I'm doing like I'm reading all the life cycle analyses that I can get my whole hands on right now about vegan leather because people talk about vegan leather being so bad, and I'm like, I really don't think it is.
Why is
And
it
then
bad?
Well, what they do is they conflate vegan materials with the worst kind of one, which seems to be at the moment like PVC or whatever. And what they do is they won't take into account a life cycle analysis of these things. So they'll look at a chemical in something like a specific vegan leather and say, oh, that's bad for the environment. But they won't do a life cycle analysis that is looking at the entire material or the animal the material was made from and seeing all the resources that were required, all the
Mm,
chemicals and everything. And, you know, I'm like, I want to make a video on vegan leather, but I don't want to do it until I can comfortably make all these
mm,
positive
mm.
empirical claims and go, well, here's the data. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean?
Okay, so people don't like vegan leather essentially because it's a plastic, and plastics are bad for the environment.
Yeah, and that is what they go with, but then they forget that vegan leather can also be made from like a big one is mushroom leather, like mycelium.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah,
Mushrooms are cool.
yeah, coconut leather, like there can be mushroom leather. Pineapple leather is one. Like there's loads of different
Mm,
leathers that are being made. I think hemp's probably used in some form because hemp's used for everything.
yeah, hemp's cool.
Um,
I've got another question for you if you want it.
mhm.
You want it?
I mean, I've got like 10 more minutes. So do you think it would like cascade?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
If I think I'd have to spend longer, then maybe I can.
Alright, cool. It's something Alex O'Connor said, so how do you feel about Alex O'Connor? Does it make you sad?
Um, I I do I liked him a bit, but he always made me a bit weary because of his the way he was speaking about animals and his focus on factory farming.
Mm.
Um, and it always seems the case that people kind of talk about factory farming, how bad it is, but then they don't want to then accept that if it's bad to factory farm an individual, it'll probably be the case that it's bad to just bring them into existence with the purpose of using them and then sending them to a slaughterhouse to slit their throat, right? So, and then he stopped being vegan and he didn't actually give a justification as to why. He just
He
said,
didn't, right? I noticed that too. I felt like
yeah,
he
he was
didn't
like,
really give any
oh,
sort of.
I have IBS, but by the way, I had this before I was vegan and it's got nothing to do with it. And it was just like, then why are you bringing this up? It'd be like
The
me.
only thing I heard from him was just it's from. I'm assuming what he meant was eating food that isn't convenient gives him gut problems and he shits himself. That's what I'm hearing from him.
And
Like, he has
yeah, and it's like you are like a very privileged rich guy who could probably have like food Ubered to you at any given moment. And
probably, yeah. Now he is pretty
yeah,
rich now.
and at that time he has had a successful channel for years. Like
Yeah, I remember Alex
uh,
from back in the day,
yeah.
atheism.
So it's just like it just seemed like I don't know another word other than copium. Like
Yeah, honestly, like I think Alex O'Connor is great. I really respect him a lot. But I do think the way he handled the breakup from veganism was a bit lackluster. I don't feel like he
mhm.
gave like a. But
No.
saying that, I think that he didn't want to give it a lot of like firewood to burn up. I think he just wanted to kind of eject himself and just get out of it without causing conflict.
Yeah,
So
I
I don't think
literally, if I don't want to like appease psychoanalysis or anything, but I'm going to do it anyway. I just think it was a case of what a lot of people do, where they go, I don't want to do this anymore, and then they stop. Then there's this because if there was a genuine good reason, he would have given it, but he was like, oh no, I don't really have one. So it's like,
there
well
is.
then, hmm?
I think Alex isn't a ethical vegan in that way. I don't think that he really like feels that much for animals. I think he was just convinced of it logically. So when it started getting in the way of his quality of life, he was just like, "Ugh, I cannot be bothered to do this."
Yeah, I just don't even grant that it got in the way of his quality of life, though, other than maybe
Really?
literally a minor inconvenience like twice. Like,
I don't know. I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was like actually annoying for him. Like actually a bit because he was pretty hardline on veganism. I would doubt it would be like a couple of little instances that made him just U-turn.
I really think if I had to speculate, it was just very interesting how it aligned perfectly with his like getting closer to like Michaela Peterson and Jordan Peterson and that whole crew. And I do think you sometimes can be a product of those around you. You know, that thing they say that you're very much like the 10 people you surround yourself with.
You think he's friends with Michaela Peterson or Jordan Peterson?
I think he got friendly with them, but then obviously he
No.
had a debate with Jordan and it didn't go very well. Jordan was like
I was gonna
completely out, like he just it was awful.
stop. I
What
love Jordan Peterson. Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
what do you mean by love?
Jordan is Jordan Peterson from before 2017. Fucking G. Like I love him. After that, I don't know what happened to his brain, but like he's just not the same
I mean,
guy.
to be fair, I don't think he's very well. Like he's in
No,
a he was in a coma, right? Or I think he's
yeah,
recovering from being in a coma. So
yeah. He definitely wasn't very well.
yeah.
But yeah, he was a very big help to me in my life when I was younger because he was just. I don't know if you probably haven't seen like the kind of stuff that's what inspiring about Jordan Peterson. You probably wouldn't see
I
it.
have seen it, but yeah, I think the negatives outweigh for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Last point though. The thing that Alex O'Connor said I thought was quite interesting, and I wonder what you think about it. If you are a vegan bodybuilder, and I added on to this as well, I'll do them two separate ones actually. If you're a vegan bodybuilder, do you not see that as someone eating unnecessary calories that come with unnecessary crop deaths just to build big muscles, being anti-vegan?
Yeah, I don't grant. I do think that would be a longer than 7 minute conversation. However,
Tell you what, just tell me. I'm not gonna reply to it. You just tell me what you think.
yeah, I don't grant the crop deaths thing to begin with. Because of what we established beforehand. Yeah, I just don't grant that. So I just don't know how I could then say it's not. It would be more of a kind of like utilitarian number basis sort of thing. I think there's
And it is, yeah.
there's a certain threshold where like I don't like, obviously, you know, those kind of food challenges where someone literally eats like 20,000 calories in a day.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it gets to a number. Then I'm like, did that really like need to happen? That amount of food?
For real. Like that's an
Um,
equation I feel like veganism should be taken into account too. Because when a meat eater does it, like it must be triggering your alarm systems. Like, why? Why cause this much death?
well, no, not even. So, say if it's a vegan challenge and it's 20,000 calories or whatever like that, I just may think like, what was the point of this challenge? It seems a bit wasteful. But not on the crop deaths kind of. Like if it were, again, if we could establish it were entailed, then maybe I'd be like, yeah, actually, then eating 5,000 calories a day might be a problem. But currently it doesn't exist as a problem to me. And obviously there's the positives of like, you know, I'm trying to build muscle, but I'm in a deficit anyway, and I don't think I'll ever go fully above my maintenance. But yeah, I think there can come positives with bodybuilding that I would also want to consider. And there's no entailed rights violation. So that's why I can't be like, oh no, that's bad. I just don't think someone could physically eat the amount of calories or the amount of food that would then trigger that system for me.
Yeah. I don't even want to get into an argument if you need to leave.
I'm not sure if the meeting's actually happening, but I am supposedly supposed to have a meeting at 5 o'clock. So
Carry on a little bit because from my perspective, it just seems clear that eating unnecessary calories would necessarily entail more crop deaths. Because all
no,
food comes
if
with
they're not
all food.
entailed in the first place, then not necessarily.
How are they not entailed?
Did we not go through the fact that it's not necessarily entailed in the product?
What do you mean by entailed though? Because
Like it has to happen.
but right now it does. Like we just know it does.
I
There's
don't
definitely
grant that it has to. No.
no, but I agree. It doesn't have to, but it does right now.
So you agree that it doesn't have to right now. Oh, you agree that it doesn't have to generally, but you think it's entailed right now.
Yeah, yeah. Like right now with our current food production, it is entailed that food will come with crop deaths.
Yeah, but like what amount are you even talking about? Like what?
Yes, whatever amount comes with it.
I just need to see that established that it has to right
Any
now.
amount. Any amount.
No, not the number. I just mean I need it established that it has to right now, and that a vegan is responsible for.
It doesn't have to right now, but it does. Like
That's a
100%.
contradiction.
No. I think you're missing what I'm getting at. Like logically speaking, we could probably create technology that doesn't require animals to die through crop deaths. But right now, all of our farming practices do. So in the world we live in right now, it does entail crop deaths.
I just can't grant these things necessarily. I don't think it necessarily does. It happens, but I don't know to what degree it has to, or anything like that. Like this is in the empirical realm. We would need to go to the empirics. That's the problem.
Sorry, I'm just not sure. Like, I don't know people disputed that crop deaths happen.
No,
I
I
thought
don't. I
like
don't
this,
dispute that they happen. I dispute that they have to.
but you agree that like when you buy potatoes, those potatoes very likely came with crop deaths.
Very likely, but I don't know. They're not entailed.
Okay, but if you buy enough potatoes, 100% chance you're coming with crop deaths. Maybe the one pack, maybe they didn't, but if you buy potatoes for your whole life, 100% chance you're causing crop deaths.
It's probably going to be more like 70% chance. And again, I don't know how this could be attributed
Really?
to a vegan. Yeah, like.
I don't know this, by the way. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, exactly.
when,
This
when
is the thing. This is why because you don't, I would need to see it demonstrated before I can then tell you what I'm going to do.
like when a farmer has his big tractor thing and he grinds up the land to get potatoes, I don't know if that's debatable whether animals are dying here. I thought it's
Yeah,
just
but remember the counterfactual of if that's rewilded land, I decide, oh, I don't want to. I want to like contribute to rewilding systems. How do I not know that I'm contributing to more in that essence of that land specifically? If I were the farmer, do you know what I mean?
I don't explain.
Well, I thought we did go through that. Like,
I didn't get it when you were saying it before either. I felt like it. Yeah, I'm just not. I'm not sure what you mean by counterfactual.
Oh,
Because it's
counterfactual is two possible worlds. You pick one versus the other.
okay.
So the counterfactual is like possible world A and possible world B, and you change some variable because you're trying to find out the value of that thing.
Mm.
Oh shit, yeah, I do have a meeting. I've just seen.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, so I would say if we wanted that to progress, I would have to see some sort of numbers, like, because we are talking about empirical stuff, and I think that's why I'm just like, I can't.
Okay.
So you'd need the empirics, and then we need to analyze the counterfactual, and then we need to see if those things are actually entailed before I would change my behavior.
Okay. Final word for me, or D'Amico? Final word, and then we.
Yeah. Feel free.
Okay, cool. So, just from my perspective, it just seems necessarily the case that when you farm crops, you're going to come with some crop deaths, and then to have those necessary crop deaths be increased because you want to build more muscle just seems not very vegan to me. But yeah, we can leave it there.
Yeah, I would just say obviously it's more
last
about.
Word.
Oh,
Last word.
Sorry.
You said
Can I have
go
a
on, you can say go on, you can do it. Go on,
I was
tell
just
me.
saying, yeah, obviously if you're like rights-based and you're interested in rights violations, then you're going to be looking at entailments and stuff like that.
Fair enough.
That's why if you talk to a utilitarian vegan or someone, they may have a different answer, you know? Those are the people who usually have the bodybuilding vegan thing as a like they have that thought experiment. I'm probably the wrong person to
It's cool.
Ask that one because I would need to look at all the empirics before I would change my behavior or then think, oh, I'm not going to go into a surplus, you know?
Right, cool. Ellie, it was a pleasure having a conversation with you. I hope that you felt the conversation was as good as I felt it was. So
yeah, I think it was really good, and I really hope that you'll watch The Island and tell me what you think. Okay.
I actually will, and I hope that I go away thinking this is genius.
I really hope you don't.
Idea.
I hope you're like, you know what, that was just not all right.
What a great idea. We should implement this in the real world.
Oh, goodness.
Right, Ellie, pleasure. In a bit.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.